All right. Here we go. It's happening. I got waiting in the wings right now. I got Texas Paul. I'm going to bring him on in just 1 second, but I want to say hi, chat room, and welcome to the show. Lots to talk about today. I have to be completely honest. I am ever so slightly bagged out and tired because I made the mistake of cracking open the new Trump deposition and thinking I'll just skim through parts of it and see what the sections are. And it's a page turner, kids. It's 500 pages of Trump playing the hits in a legal deposition. And I have some theories about it, but I want to discuss, and it's more psychological than the content of it. Although I don't know if Texas Paul has had a chance to crack it open. It's a lot of fun, but I'm curious what his take will be. That said, let me bring in the chat room real quick and say hi to you guys, and then we will get on our way our way. Let's see, we're up and running. There's everybody in there. Hey, there you are. Okay, cool. It takes a moment. Rip Hal's brain. Yeah, there's, in all honesty, let me shut the doors so the cats don't invade. Yeah, there's some parts of it where I'm like, he can't possibly be this dumb. It's nuts. Yeah, it's well, we'll get into it because I've got it, and I'll open up parts of it because I just want to. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to do a show on Monday. I might even go long on Monday. I might even dress that up. But in the meantime, let me set up our dear friend in here. Hold on 1 second. Let me get in the. I've got to get the. Where is it? There it is. I'll grab this guy. And yeah. And then I got to turn off Rip Portland because we had Tara up in there. And then we get in our, we have, that's it. I think I've got Texas Paul's graphic still in here waiting patiently. Yep, there it is. Excellent. And I'll bring him in just one moment. Also, quick, let's see. I guess quick show notes. Regular shows today and tomorrow. Boston Brian will be joining us in the first hour tomorrow. And then, of course, Phil will be joining us in the second hour of the radio show. And then Monday, I will be doing a full series of shows, morning and afternoon, depending on if it's still raining like it is here, which is insane. Perhaps I will just, avoid the flooding around here and just keep broadcasting. Who can say? We might go all night. It's possible. Okay, now let me get back over to my screen so I can grab, Texas Paul's link without you guys seeing him without makeup. I think that's important. I think this has got to be a certain level of friendly to your guest in that regard. Let them know when they're online. And we're almost there. And Paul, you can hear me okay, right?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Oh,
I can hear it perfectly.
You sound fantastic yourself, sir. And in
Thank you.
3, 2, 1, I'm bringing him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas Paul joining us. Are you actually joining us from Texas? That's the curious part. I think so. Judging from the sports memorabilia around you, it'd have to be the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I live up in Northeast Texas. I've lived in Texas my whole life, Hal.
Right.
I was born in South Texas. We moved up to Austin, lived there for a little over a decade, and then the wife and I retired up in East Texas to be close to her family as they got older.
Right.
But yeah, live 5x5 from Texas, folks.
There you go. All right. Well,
A lot of folks wish I wasn't here, but
no, I'm glad you are, because I do think Texas is one of those states where they have done a lot of work to guarantee that Democrats don't get a toehold there. And there's a lot more people who would be, maybe they're not Bernie voters, but they're Biden sympathetic by far. And that's a very scary notion. It's one of the biggest reasons I think why they attack Biden as harshly as they do and leave some of the others that they might have more ideological differences with stark ones anyways, because that doesn't scare them. Nobody's going to go full AOC in Texas necessarily, but that infrastructure bill, man, that Inflation Reduction Act, that's starting to build some factories in Texas and some refineries.
yeah, yeah, amen, brother. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's not so much that how it's not the politics. I mean, it's really not. People think, oh well, Texas Democrats are different, and this side. It's not so much that.
Yeah.
It's Republicans have spent the last 40 years working on this whole political strategy of, you make your opponent an unacceptable option.
Right.
That's what all the culture war bullshit is about. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
You can swear.
BS
No,
is
no.
about. Um, but then there's also this air of inevitability
Right.
that Republicans, that they ride that wave. It's we are strong, we are powerful, we are the ones, and then you get people just follow strength, and this is what I came out when I came out swinging a couple of years ago on social media. People were
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I mean, you can't say that. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
yes, I can. Yes,
Right.
I can. Because I'm telling you, folks, they're saying that and worse about us. And
Yeah.
once you crack that facade, once Joe Biden came in and handed Trump his ass in that
Yeah.
last election, that was huge, man. That's what the panic is all about, really,
Sure.
within the Republican Party, is they can see that just melting away, and folks
Right.
like you, folks like me, folks like
Mhm.
Tony Michaels, folks like the Meiselas brothers,
Yep.
all working all the time. They don't have that. You know how it works, and
Yeah.
from the inside how the establishment works.
Mm.
They
Mhm.
love the drama, man. It's a business now. News
Well,
is a
the
business now. It's not a
well,
loss
I
leader anymore.
I think okay. I've always had this feeling about news. News has always been ice skating uphill against fiction, anyways. And Fox decided to carve off a slice of that fiction money when it started up as a 24-hour news cycle thing, because they were far and ahead, the leading new kid on the block as far as networks, and they did not have a storied history. Fox as a network, and then became News Corp and separated itself out when it became politically disadvantageous for the actual creators of the shows, when they started hating what Murdoch was saying and using the same 20th Century Fox, Fox News's relation to the network Fox. A lot of the creators weren't having it, so they had to, it drove them apart. And in that process, Fox never had that anchor of NBC Nightly News, the history of like a Walter Cronkite or any of these moments. They had no gravitas around their news setup. So it was, quite frankly, it was just like, how do we Simpsons the news? And so, in a lot of ways, while on the one hand, do I think the Rupert Murdochs of the world at times were Dick Cheney-esque in their total comfort at manipulating the news cycle? Yeah, absolutely. Mostly they did it by casting, which is, you have to do very little directing if you do good casting. And I think they cast their people to send the message that they wanted to send on the air over somebody else who might be, a little more cautious or a little more aware of the details or whatever. If they want, they wouldn't hire someone like Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity if they wanted a conscientious anchor, right? And they have no, like I said, they have no anchor. They have no Walter Cronkite that they're like, this is pissing on the grave of our great Fox commentators like blah, 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 right? It never happened. So it's a money-making scheme. And how do you do that? Well, we've always known that if it bleeds, it leads, right? Well, the question is, how do you make everything bleed? That's essentially what Fox is, right? Now, if you can't make everything bleed because you need an audience that comes back, right? So how do you make everything they do bleed? How do you make the other side look like they're trying to bleed you? And I think that's where they ultimately came to, is like, that's the sweet spot. That's the moneymaker. How do we turn this story into something that makes every Fox viewer feel like Democrats wake up every morning trying to find a way to stick a knife in their what little life they feel like they're hanging on to? And that would be the sort of impoverished idiots who vote for a person like Donald Trump, right?
Yeah,
They
this goes back to the old LBJ thing. You tell the lowest white man that he's better than the best black man, and you won't have to pick his pockets. He'll turn his pockets out for you. I mean,
right.
it's the same exact principle.
Well, do
He's
you
going
think
to people that are the worst of our society, the worst people in our society, and he's telling them, "You're special. You're
right?
special, and everything you fear is true." I mean,
Yeah,
the Democrats want you to only have 2 beers a week, and they're going to pass a law that says you can only have 2 beers a week, and they're going to come get your gas stove.
Right.
And these people are like, oh, really?
Well,
I
again,
was
that
afraid of that.
I knew it, but I didn't know it, but I knew it. You know, that's their Joe versus the volcano moment where they're being bullshitted and aren't aware that they're being rolled. Um, Again, I think that is, as a strategy goes, then you have, so the news is just going to do that. And it can be relatively innocuous because after a while you can catch on. You can go, okay, they always tell me the other side is full of shit. Maybe if I, question it at all, I can start kicking the tires, see if there's anything to this argument. And a lot of times it falls apart. I mean, just look at how the economy does under Democrats versus Republicans. No matter who you are, even if you're going to pay more tax under Democrats, you're paying tax on during a time when you're making way more money. You're making more money and you're more than the tax you're paying, which is the weirdest. Like, I don't know why they don't get that hitch is so confusing for them. You know what I mean? But so my question, I guess, for you is that, because you come across, and I think Boston Brian, and I grew up in Kentucky originally, so I've never taken any shit from the South in terms of my criticisms of it. So, because that was always the joke, I bit my act because I can make fun of it because I'm from there. If you're not from there, you're not allowed. They'll, because you'll meet somebody and they'll bitch up and down about their place. You ever roll up on somebody like, man, this place fucking sucks, dude. There ain't no she's got this growth on her head from something in the water, and they fucking the government won't fix the roads, and then you're like, man, this place sucks. And you're like, hey, fuck you, man, this is my home. He's allowed.
That applies to Ukraine also, bud. That applies to
Right.
Ukraine also. People are like, why don't we put boots on the ground? Why don't we end this? And I keep explaining to people, the second an American flag shows up in Ukraine,
Yeah.
all of Russia will consolidate
Yeah.
behind this invasion, and you'll make the situation 10 times worse.
Well, I mean, you'll make it our fight instead of their fight supported by us. And there's a very in an argument amongst friends, if you're yelling at each other across the table in a fucking Chili's, there's no difference in that situation. If you come to the defense of your friend, you are not now taking their place in the argument between the spouses. You're not their husband now. You're not their wife now. But in war, all of those steps, every single one of them, and because we've learned this lesson the hard way, every single step you take in that direction has a myriad of legal ramifications and geopolitical ramifications and security ramifications that start and do not stop just because the conflict stops. Because you can pick, I mean, like the obvious one is Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen. That our support for them, he was a tick on that dog. He recognized that dog, if it grows here and the Muslims around here understand that religious pluralism that America has is actually a good thing, that is a cancer, because he was, considered himself, a complete Orthodox, purist in that regard. And if you let the idea that I may be a Muslim and you may be a Christian, but we have differences of opinion, but I love you and I hope you live well and all that, and I hope Allah has pity on you when you go to the afterlife and understands you were just mistaken and done it. Like that kind of conversation. The kind of conversations that humans were having like in the 30s and 40s in Iran. And that coming back scared the living shit out of the people like Osama bin Laden. They had to stop it. Same thing is true of Putin in Ukraine. We can pretend to have a democracy because I can control that. But once you want a real democracy where you really have a vote and you really get to pick the person, and I don't have a direct say by putting my thumb on the scale, fuck that. We're killing people now, right? So that impact, that is the closest parallel to the fight we're having in Ukraine right now, in our support of Ukraine, of the actual people of Ukraine, is that Putin and Osama bin Laden, in their own way, this is the one area where they parallel, because what their fear is that freedom gets a toehold, genuinely. We talk about how, like, Bush was talking about, we're going to, bring democracy to Iraq, which, by the way, they kind of have now. Like, Iraq is not the country that it was under, the administration that was there, the dictatorial power of Saddam Hussein that was there when we started. It's a terrible way to do it. Ridiculous. Wasn't for it. But it is different. It is different now. And that's because the Iraqis have a choice in it. They have chosen this. They have the ability. And it took a long time after that in the history of the world being what it is. But the same thing is that's what Putin fears in Ukraine. And maybe that's a bit what Republicans fear in Texas. It's the same thing. If you let it get a toehold, that's why you have to appear so strong and so forceful and never let anything through, is because it's a sign of weakness to even go, well, yeah, we agree on the problem. We just differ on the tactical solution, or right?
Yeah, and and it applies to the site formerly known as Twitter. I mean, you've got you remember back in the day that really quaint notion that we all entertained that, oh, we're doing business with Saudi Arabia, so they're going to become a more liberal society.
Right.
They're going to advance. No, they took every damn dollar they had. They pumped money into sites like Twitter, and that's why Twitter is saying, oh no, everything modern and liberal and enlightened and everything is bad. We have to go back to the old days of religion and everybody, that's why the Saudis are funding Twitter. People think, well, Elon Musk bought Twitter. No, Elon Musk couldn't buy Twitter. He didn't have the liquid capital. It was the Saudis that bought Twitter.
Right.
And it shows.
Yes.
And they're trying to inject into our society. You're partnering up with the Republicans on the right wing, and they're trying to inject into our society that sickness that is at the heart of.
Right.
Well,
there was a Washington Post article about that, I think this morning, about how, about how the EU has done a, let me see if I can find it, but the EU has done a study on like how much pro-Russian propaganda, I mean, and not just like what we feel is propaganda because of the side we're on, but genuine BS propaganda in line with the stuff that Meta just broomed from the Chinese accounts on, on Facebook and the like. And they did this whole study, and it's gone up like 680% or something like that. And it's been rampant on the site because that's the point. Never mind the fact that, I don't know if you've seen them, but most people who can't read Chinese don't recognize, they look like what's on the tin, but these like weird escort card things that they used to hand out on the street in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? Or put on your car or whatever. They sell those, or they can't hand them out anymore around here. So they're basically just paying to post on Twitter now, and they show up not just like in the generalized thread where sometimes promoted stuff shows up. And that's why, by the way, Elon Musk wanted to take away the block feature. Had nothing to do with the back and forth between people who are politically disagreeing. It's so you couldn't block the unpaid, the unmarked promoted accounts. That was the thing, is that people, all they got to do, and then he was going to do this thing. I mean, he probably is already doing it. We just can't see it. But you can basically just scoop a bunch of people's Twitter handles and put them in like hashtags embed them in the tweet effectively. So they go to you, but without having your name in them. Like that, he's trying to find every workaround to sell advertising on a site where nobody wants to advertise on the up and up anymore. And the only people who do want to advertise is the kind of shit you would go, what the fuck is that? The fuck is that? The fuck is that? And block it or shut it down. Because it's not a money-making enterprise for everybody else who's involved. Like, the Saudis don't care if they make money on it. They're making money through destruction. It's like,
their goal is to spread that social engineering, that let's go back to women know their place in the kitchen, in the home, and shut up and let the men talk. I mean, it's
right.
That's, well, I mean, really, folks. I mean, if you look at why, I mean, the Saudis why did they invest in this site? It wasn't to make money. It wasn't. It's social engineering. It's the same thing that you've got these Texas billionaires doing down here, man. They're pumping religious garbage out. You got like Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes. He's a
Right.
Seventh Day Adventist that has on the far range of
Yeah.
far edge of
Oh, yeah.
religious,
Yeah.
extremism,
Yeah.
and he is
Borderline Waco
that.
shit.
Yeah, he's funding all of. Actually, it's funny you should say that. His church is they're Seventh Day Adventists. It's the same folks down in
Yep.
Waco. They were Seventh Day Adventists. Um, the, different branch
Mm-hmm.
of the same tree.
Mm-hmm.
They he's funding all this. Take the libraries away nonsense.
Right.
We've got to get rid of all the books, all the driving the nutballs into the school boards. He's paying for all of that. He's paying for
Yeah.
all of that. Same thing the Saudis are doing. It's just social engineering by religious freaks, man. And
Right.
people need to know what this is.
Yeah, and again, there are ways to make profits in a certain system. This is the Washington Post article I was talking about. I was just looking for it real quick. Musk's new Twitter policies help spread Russian propaganda. EU says X's failure to slow the spread of disinformation on the internet would have violated EU social media law had it been in effect, which it's going into effect, which is why Twitter's going to have the problems that it has. Now, the interesting thing is that there will be workarounds. Let's say where you'll get ready to start seeing this. Get ready to start seeing Americans who use VPNs, and God, the irony that the right wing has powered their entire, like one of their biggest advertisers is VPNs. VPNs, I mean, it's a good internet advertiser anyways for anybody, but they sell the crap out of them. It's like that and gold, right? You'll see any ads you see, Tim Pool or Ben Shapiro, they're going to be a VPN on there. Well, your dear friends everywhere who want to get some real information and not what they are being fed by an algorithm are going to use a trick in a VPN where they move their location to get their daily updates. So you might be living in Louisiana, but you could set in very soon you could set your VPN to say you're in Paris, France. If the EU has new rules about what propaganda is and all that kind of stuff, and you want to see around the wall of propaganda you're being shoveled in the name of free speech, manipulated free speech. If you want to do that and check it out, you'll be able to just switch your VPN over to what's Twitter look like in France? Oh, it's a whole different experience. It's just like TikTok and ByteDance in China. TikTok in China doesn't have any of the crazy stuff that you see, like the libs of TikTok or any of that stuff. Doesn't have any of that stuff. That social engineering and the algorithm pushes it to the top, no matter how few people watch it, to make sure. And they wouldn't show that to their own people ever, but they guarantee that it gets top spot everywhere else to make it look like there's a huge division. So one of the things that came up was in this was, let me see if I can find the actual quote, but they literally found they found all these accounts. Oh, maybe it's the Meta one. That's what I'm thinking of. You saw the article about that they were talking about how Meta broomed some like 7,000 different Chinese accounts, propaganda accounts, and all that. These fake accounts. They had literally, like, during the month of February in 2020, these accounts, their entire purpose, like about 5,000 of them, was to pretend to be black and pretend to be white, pretend to be Southern and pretend to be urban, and start divisions, just fight with each other, and then get people to join in the fight, be super racist or be super like black segregationist, like the Uhuru, Black Hebrew Israelite stuff. Jack that up as if it's part of the normal conversation and try to wind people up so that they think the next black person they see on the street or the next white person they see on the street hates them. That was the goal. And that is evil. Let me just say that doing that flippantly to another country is evil. And
I wish I could remember his name, the name of that Republican politician that got caught because he forgot to sign into his burner account on Twitter, where he claimed to be a black urban
yeah,
person,
like
and he
a
was saying all kinds of
BLM,
vile crap, and they're like, "Hey, dude, wrong account."
right?
God, I wish I could remember his name.
Well, at one point they were doing, there was this big thing on the right wing punditry side on YouTube, especially, where they were just kind of hunt down during the BLM, spike, I suppose, like the period of time post George Floyd and even slightly prior, where we were dealing with this real thing that had happened and real people were having real conversations about it. But on the internet, there was all this like, it's time for a race war, the Civil War's coming, the Great Day of the Rope, and on these right wing accounts. And then you had, like I said, the Black Hebrew Israelites, that guy shooting the two Jewish people in the Bronx and stuff. I bet you could trace part of their radicalism to this artificial conversation that was happening between a bunch of these people. But you'd have people on the right saying there's no racism, they have to make it up. The Democrats are making up racism just so that they can pass laws to control you, right? Which is, I gotta say, it sounds like code for that whole the Jews use the blacks to control the impoverished whites, right? That's just another like way of phrasing that, and the interesting thing is, and I'm curious about this because AI has scared the shit out of everybody. Everybody's worried that there's going to be so much of it. I think the problem that you're going to run into if you're a propagandist is there's going to be so much of it, and anybody can make it, that nobody will believe anything unless they see it face to face. You'll get it, right? Why would you believe any video or audio you see right now for a month? Other than kind of some standard like a car crash or even like a police shooting or something like that. We're going to see fake ones of those, trust me. But those are going to spread on the internet. Those will be the good ones. Those are the ones they're going to spend the time on. But like Biden leaning across the table going, I don't actually like Korean people. They're mean. That kind of, like, you'll see a video of that and nobody's going to buy it because can't believe anything.
No, I have to disagree with you there,
Yeah.
Hal, just a little bit. Think about the cult and think about
Right.
how information works within that cult. It doesn't have to be true, man. I don't have to be limiting your ability to have more than 2 beers a week, which is the latest
Right.
one, but
Right.
they want it. They want it so bad that they'll believe it.
Yeah. Well,
Look,
right.
and the right knows it. You had Ted Cruz doing that idiotic. Did you see that idiotic video he did where he's like taking a swig off a beer with what's his name, Jesse Waters, I believe it
Oh
was.
yeah, with the guys
Uh,
yeah. In the
the idiot
background.
standing behind him, yeah,
Right.
and that kind of thing, and I that's why I
Mhm.
rail about it, not against it, I rail about it on my show all the time. These people, just because they want to hear it, they're gonna accept it. They're gonna digest it, and they're gonna disseminate it. They're
Yeah.
gonna, and that's where the AI is so
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. The difference is that there was a for that video. Let's talk about that moment because Jesse Waters having him on Fox. It's a real network. He's got this thing. He's, as part of his campaign, he spent some campaign funds to go to a place and set this whole thing up. And he knows it's all posturing, but whatever. That takes money, work, and time. Okay, and in many ways, effort and cash are the two equalizers that everybody. It's like physics. Nobody can outrun gravity. I don't care who the fuck you are. By flapping your arms. The skinniest person and the fattest person will never fly. That we both have the same problem, right? And it right, and the same thing used to be true of media, and it's very different now, as you see, because you and I have shows. You and I have the ability to put out stuff that 25 years ago was an impossibility. You and I would have been in this, in our current iteration of what we're doing to get message out, we would have been on public access at midnight because we would have been the slow rollers into public access, and the day slots that are worth a goddamn were all eaten up by some woman who's been knitting on television since 1971, since they passed the Cable Freedom Act or whatever that gave everybody a public access channel, right? Those they've been locked in. So the people coming in to do politics to try to compete with Fox and CNN, we'd be on at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And we'd have to come in the studio at like 9 a.m. to tape it, and they wouldn't air it until
Think Weird Al's UHF.
Yes, absolutely. And now we can do this right now. Like I'm gonna go. I'm sure the Midas brothers are gonna, Midas Touch brothers are gonna carry the Trump trial. I certainly am. I'm sure you'll be a part of that. We'll rotate around or whatever, but I'll just stay live and do it. That was never fucking possible during the OJ trial or anything. It is now. Here's why I think it makes a difference. And I think this is the part that scares Republicans and why, the art and the fun that Democrats and our side often have can be a benefit to us, is that now AI and the availability of this kind of media is the great equalizer. It really is. We can now I can make a show that looks like this on a shoestring. And if I can extend that shoestring a little bit, I literally will get to a point where you won't be able to tell the difference between this and any other show that's on your cable news, quality-wise, right? Shit, when Nicole Wallace stays home and has to do her show from home, my camera is better. I'm just saying. And I love her. And she's on MSNBC, for fuck's sake. They're a multi-million-dollar organization. Hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So the AI thing, I mean, if you look at Biden's Twitter feed, his shitter feed, and the rest of their messaging, they're on it. They're well past the time where they're going to be little Marco'd by a dickhead like Donald Trump. And he's just screaming over at Truth Social, like trapped in a fucking box. He's like Zod in the glass triangle. Just, I'll get you, Jor-El. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's my rant.
I don't mean to interrupt your rant, man.
Yeah.
But what you just said there, just how happy does it make you that at 3:00 this morning, when you were getting some sleep, Donald Trump
right. Oh yeah. I'll see if I can bring it up and show everybody. And his eyes have been so bloodshot lately, because I don't care what anybody fucking says. He knows he's in deep shit. He knows.
Oh yeah.
He's very aware. Yeah. So, and here I'll show you, in case you didn't know, like, here's all fucking caps. Just like,
Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
I know.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, and then he's retruthing Mark Levin clips. That's how bad it is. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
This is in the New York State AG Letitia James case. I was targeted, given no jury, no extensions, no commercial division, no constitutional rights, no anything. The Democratic judge hates Trump with a passion. The thing I have is a great case based on phenomenal numbers that show a net worth based on phenomenal numbers based on a net worth billions of dollars more than she viciously and falsely claimed. Forbes listed his net worth at $2.3 billion. And let me tell you something. That's fucking horrible news. That's like when they say China has 4% growth, and they're like, well, 4% growth, that's pretty good. Not if you're in a hole and you're crawling out of it. You got to grow, by 104% just to be above ground, right? That's if his net worth is $2.3 billion, that's like $700 million shy of the value of the properties he owns. Like his debts have overtaken the worth of the property.
That's what people don't understand about. That's
Right.
what people don't understand about Donald Trump. I'm like, people that are actual billionaires, I mean, real billionaires, not like I just shuffled shit around on paper billionaires.
Right.
Real billionaires don't go to bail bondsmen and lose 10%. They don't. They have banks that are more than willing, if you just call up, make a phone call, say, look, I'll give you the stock to guarantee, the bank will send a representative to pay your bail.
Yeah.
When you've got money. I mean, those are the kind of services banks do for actual billionaires. But when you're like Donald Trump and your thing is Doral costs money.
Yes.
Doral is not like a pastor in a church that doesn't have to reprint the Bibles, man. Doral is a money eater.
Suck. Yeah.
And Trump does not have liquid capital laying around. I guarantee you that is why he went to a freaking bail bondsman.
Oh yeah, just like Rudy, selling his friggin' house to do it. Let me see if I'll bring this back up again real quick. So this is what I got caught in last night. And I don't know if you've had a chance to peruse it, but if you've got the time, Oh, Exhibit 5, kids. Yeah, like it's this. So, couple of things. I have a theory. People said this is his most rambling one yet. Because in his previous ones, especially the ones that they videotaped, and they did videotape this one, so god damn it, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out after the trial, and the trial's gonna be over before the election, which means sometime next spring. 7 hours of this motherfucker. Anyways, so
People,
they
just a public service announcement. If you ever have to give a deposition, and you're giving your deposition and you like crosswords with the person asking questions and their response is, no, finish your thought. You have screwed yourself.
Yes.
I mean, it's like Mark Meadows, 5 hours under oath, just pouring gasoline. Remember Airplane? The guy that pours gasoline on himself, lights the match. I mean, oh my God, these guys are such morons.
Oh, there's so much that's amazing in this that people are touching on the whole, like, if it wasn't for me, we'd have had a war with North Korea, right? He said shit like that anyways. That doesn't interest me. Here's there are parts in here. Let's see if they do this. Oh God. He ran, like, this is just a chunk of him rambling about how, I tell the story. George Washington actually, when he was president, had 2 desks, one for his business, and he was actually a very wealthy man, one for his business, one for running the country. I could have done that. No, you fucking can't. We passed laws past that because of Woodrow fucking Wilson and Richard M. Milhouse Nixon no, you cannot. We specifically fixed that shit. George Washington was the first guy, and we're like, well, he's a good guy. What if there's not a good guy? Excellent point. Let's write something down. Like, oh God. All right. He goes, if you look at Biden, he certainly does business and politics at the same time, but I felt I wanted to be a legitimate president. I didn't have to be, from the standpoint of even using the word legitimate. What the fuck are you talking about, you fucking lunatic? I think it's important that if you're running for the country, you're not doing business, which he fucking admits to doing business later on in the deposition. He literally brags about it. But there's no legal reason that I understand that I had to, but I thought it would be a good thing to have a trust. This is why they're asking him what he put his trust in. And like, just say,
he did not put his assets in a blind trust. He did not. I don't give a damn what he tries to say. That's a load of bullshit. The entire time he was in office, everything was about his business.
Yes.
Everything.
Okay.
That's why the Saudis were renting floors of the damn Trump hotel in D.C.
Yeah, the Opio, right. The old post office, right? He goes, there was this one thing where, is it generally speaking, though, the Trump organization consists of hundreds of different legal entities. Is that fair? He goes, a lot. It's just like, can't stop bragging. Never brag in a deposition. Fuckhead, what are you, a serial killer? Where you're like, you're going to have to deal with me or you'll never find the bodies. These people will never have closure if you give me the death penalty. He's like using a Ted Bundy defense. It's so stupid. And Mr. Keiss, his other attorney, only and ever makes breaks and says object to the form because they're trying to he's like trying to, maybe one day we'll have appeal points on this. I don't know. I'll object to the form of the question. We'll fight on this. And it should have never gone on from that point or never gone on from that point. So he's basically like, it's like he's climbing a mountain of bullshit and he's putting stakes in so people behind him can attach ropes. That's what the object to form is. He goes, it's a lot. It could be hundreds. The legal entities 100. Yeah, we know it's like 1,500 LLCs. And the assets of the Trump organization are currently held in a revocable trust. Is that correct? And I love that it's a revocable trust. He goes, I believe so. Mr. Keiss, object to the form. Question. Okay. And that would be the DJT revocable trust. DJT, like it. Okay. Object to the form. Okay. That would be okay. I believe so. I believe so. Yes. If we talk about the trust today, you'll understand that's what I'm referring to. Yes. And you're the donor of all the assets in the trust. Is that correct? I believe so, yes. And you are the sole beneficiary of the trust. Is that correct? Yes. Why did you form the trust? And then he goes into this fucking thing about, I could have done business. I didn't need a trust, but I did it because I was being a nice guy. And she goes, so that was a lengthy answer. So just to understand, it was in the connection to the fact that you were going to run for president and the assets were going to be put in that trust? Primarily, yes. You mentioned you had a highly respected man who was the overseer of that trust. He said, yeah, he goes, I got a great guy, highly respected. She goes, this is the fucking best. And there's tons of this. Who was that? Answer. I don't know his name. I don't know his name. He was an attorney from Washington, D.C. I didn't know him. I believe I met him once very quickly. Everybody he says, like they asked, like, who's running this? Who's in charge of this? This is the person. This person works at Trump Tower, right? I think so. Do you know this person? Not really. This guy ran on. I know all the best people.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know who fucking works in the goddamn company. It's amazing. Like, I was stunned how many times he's like, I don't.
Trump Jr. runs one of his trusts. This guy has more trust than I've got.
Yeah.
Pimples on my butt, man. I mean, this guy is just
he actually lays this off on Eric. Now, the interesting thing is, you can tell during this whole thing that he's trying to draw as much fire away from Don and Ivanka as possible. Now, there's two reasons for that. One, he likes Ivanka and he doesn't like the boys. But also, in the case of Don probably, because he's older, has been more involved for longer. And if he has to turn to save his ass, or he gets busted with a trunk load of cocaine because Trump's turned off the cash spigot, Trump's afraid that he'll spill the beans. So he's got to run interference for Don. Eric, he can fucking serve up on a platter. And I think he even told Michael Cohen at one point that Eric is the one that could go. And Eric, if you look at their depositions in this case, when they all four went in, when Trump, in one of the cases where he pled the fifth 400 times, remember that? Eric pled the fifth to the exact same questions 400 times, like the exact same number. Don and Ivanka didn't. They answered questions because the firewall was, in theory, protecting them. Yeah. Goddamn. I'm amazed by the, yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, and you know, I got to tell you,
yeah,
my wife is a federal agent, right? So she does this thing with me that they're never supposed to do. They tell federal agents, don't do this in your marriage. We're going to train you how to interrogate people. We're going to train you how to get people to talk. We're going to train you how to, you know, and it's that and the other. And they will tell them, don't do this in your marriage, you know?
Right.
And I still will get into an argument, this, that, and the other. And I can see, because she will pause, and then here come the questions, and they're the open-ended questions that you have to give paragraph long answers to. And this is what Donald Trump was looking at when he went into this deposition. Someone who is keenly trained to make you talk, and they know what they want you to talk about, and they have dozens of answers in their magazine ready to fire at you, and they know he's an arrogant, narcissistic jackass. So when he's sitting there bragging about his company, they didn't interrupt once. Not once. Yes, please do tell us about your company and how great you are and what a smart businessman you are.
Well,
so really, when you're so smart in this situation, how did you handle it?
Oh, well,
and this dumbass answers the question.
Yeah. She actually, there are a couple times where his lawyer says, can we take a recess? And they try to bring him back, and his first two answers are short and tight again. And then he goes off. He's fucking lost any self-control that he might have had back in the day when he used to do other depositions, and he knew, you know, what he could say and how to plead ignorant and all this stuff. He's lost that entirely. And the other thing is that she occasionally says, you know, I don't need a long answer from you about this. I just need to answer this, because she knows he fucking hates her, and he will respond by just blathering on and on and on like an asshole. And he does. So this goes to your point about Doral earlier. And I want to show people this, because this is the part I don't think people pay enough attention to. And obviously it'll be on screen. It'll be way too small for you to read it, but she's talking about, you know, if they give me she goes, are there other properties that you, he calls them Renoir and Mona Lisa properties. So his idea is that they grow in value just because they're amazing. He doesn't buy warehouses like that idiot Jared Kushner, who actually has made a profit during his time as, you know, taking over his dad's company. No, Donald Trump buys these like fancy pants properties. Oftentimes, by the way, where they charge a premium to live in them, which are the first ones to die if you don't have money flowing around in commercial real estate, for example. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would love personally to buy the Flatiron Building in New York because it's empty. Basically, it's really sad. It's a beautiful, crazy, old, classic building, but nobody wants to live in it
Been
because
there, love it.
yeah, you'd have to charge so much to have an office in there because it's a premium property to make up for the cost of renovating it and keeping it up that you can't afford it. So anybody who wants, they'll go, I'll just settle for being able to lunch in the bottom floor of it. I'll get a shit office 2 blocks away, and that's what they do. New York's walkable. It's not the same kind of thing. So anyways, Doral. He goes, Doral, I think Doral is, I guess it's close to 700 acres around there, right in the middle of Miami, right near the airport, which, by the way, being near the airport is not necessarily a good thing when you want peace and quiet while you're golfing, but whatever. I could get it. Listen to this part. This is the part that you can tell where his mind is right now. This is a man who recognizes that his net worth is far below what he says he is, and his debt is creeping the fuck up his back. Listen to this. I could get a zoning if I wanted it. I could get zoning for thousands of units. It's 4 golf courses and a very large, I think, approximately 800 rooms, magnificent clubhouse, all brand new. I built it. You know, I ripped it down and rebuilt it. They fucking put a spit polish on it. He didn't rip it down and rebuild it. They say that everywhere. He just changes the fucking, if he changes the fucking wallpaper in a place, he thinks he's a construction magnate. So he goes, I built it. You know, I ripped it down and rebuilt it and built it mostly brand new clubhouse, mostly. New clubhouse, new buildings.
Planted new
Blew up the golf
flowers at
course.
the gate. That's what he did.
That's right. Blue Monster and the other ones, he doesn't even know the other names of the golf courses there. They just likes the name of the Blue Monster. There's 4 courses. And I believe that Doral, not as golf, but as what you would build on it because it's the best location, is also zoned for gambling. Inside the perimeter, it's like he's selling it to her. It's like he's at an auction house and he's like, please take this fucking dead-end property off my hands that I can't afford to have anymore and turn it into something profitable. And he's right. Fucking Carlin was right. Turn golf courses into low-cost homes, and you solve the homelessness problem. It's also zoned for gambling. Yeah, he goes, inside the perimeter, you know that they created a perimeter for gambling. If that gets approved in Florida, and if gambling ever got approved in Florida, but we're one of the properties that's approved for gambling. And she goes, have you ever considered development of Doral apart from the golf course and resort that you have? Not really, because I don't, and this is the part that fucking grosses me out. He's talking to Letitia James. And listen to this answer. Just understand, he's sitting in this room and he fucking is grinding his teeth at every answer. She goes, you ever think of, developing part of it? And he goes, not really, because I don't, it's doing great. I don't need the money. You probably need the cash. We have lots of cash. Fuck you, dude. He's like public servant, black woman sitting across from him. You probably need the cash. We got lots of cash. Dude, let me tell you something. Just like I don't know. If this was the 30s, he'd fucking get backhanded across the table. He'd knock the cigar out of his mouth if he was an old school robber baron for that kind of shit. We have lots of cash. I believe we have substantially in excess of $400 million in cash, which is a lot for a developer. He by no means has $400 million in cash. No, Trump does not. I'm just saying, for the record, in no paperwork anywhere has anyone ever shown that he has anywhere near $400 million in cash sitting around. Jared might, and he might consider that his money. It's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. But he doesn't fucking have it. He goes, developers usually don't have cash. They have assets, not cash. We have, I believe, 400 plus and going up very substantially every month. Okay, first of all, he's bleeding cash. We know this. His millions are not going up substantially every fucking month. Nobody sells their fucking mugshot on as cheaply as possibly on as many fucking garments and like mugs and crap shit like Teespring level, like a regular Joe Schmo merch like I do, if you have 400 fucking million in the bank.
No, there's no such thing as Warren Buffett water. I mean,
right.
People that really have money don't grift like he grifts, man. I mean, it's just constantly every opportunity to bring a buck in, he's all over it. He is all over it. That is the mark of somebody who really, really needs cash.
Yeah. Dude, he always defends the brand as a liquid asset, which I got to say, look, if you look at the Kardashians or something like that, they spend their entire lives, day in and day out. They wake up in the fucking morning and they sweat it at night, maintaining that brand just to keep the fucking juggle between the other options that are out there, right? They like, and they're good at it. Like Kim Kardashian, that's all brand. There's not, none of them invented something. They took a makeup line, they liked some colors, that's fine, and more power to them. But let's be completely honest. It's not. It is not Tesla before Elon Musk bought it and slathered his name, all over the place. But they know, the Kardashians know. Anybody, to ask Richard fucking Branson, who has a terrific brand as a CEO. Ask anybody. Your brand is always in danger, always in flux. And look at Tesla's stock over the last year in the fucking roller coaster where he's having to borrow money under the table to buy back the stock at a higher price just to start it nudging up to get these idiot suckers that support him to buy in on this. I know you got to jump at the end of the hour. And are you going to be hopping over to Midas? Is that where they're having you on today? Or
No, man, I've got a brisket on the smoker, and I'm going to enjoy my day, my friend.
All right. Well, that's good. That was code for something. I always thought brisket on the smoker was like I got a brisket on the smoker. That's like, it's like the upside, the early part of See a Man About a Mule, I suppose. But I'll try to wrap this up. And I want to remind everybody, follow Texas Paul on all your social medias. You're on Threads, right, too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, I'll be honest with you. I've actually ditched the site formerly known as Twitter. I mean, I post one or two things every once in a while, but I don't even live stream to it anymore. I just, I do everything on Threads, and I'm glad to see they're finally developing it a little bit. I mean, hell, they've done, I had to laugh. They've done more developing Threads than Microsoft has done to improve any of its products in the last 2 decades. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it is a lot easier to code these days with AI as a co-pilot. Shit gets done and checked 1,000 times. You used to have to hire coders to try, hey, go type on this or try to click around this on a mouse and see if you can find a bad pixel that'll fuck up your experience. And now they just do it automatically 1 trillion times in a couple of hours, and that it's very helpful. I wanted to point this out, the whole branding thing, because Texas Paul, I think you got a fantastic brand, my friend. I think people they love themselves some Texas Paul, and I encourage them to follow you and listen to your stuff and take your words very seriously as the voice of someone who gives a shit. That's what I enjoy about. It's obvious that you care about the outcome, and as one of my favorite co-defenders of democracy, as what I would call the democratic machine, which is I'm calling all the people who are like pro-voting, even if it doesn't go our way, because I want people to vote. I want to fight this argument out in the political arena because it beats all the other options that we've had throughout history. It is much better for us to argue and vote and argue and vote and argue and vote and work out our back and forths that way than if people take up arms or turn on each other or go silent. And it's better for humanity if we can do it this way. It's much more mature, and it helps us all. Now, I do think, between you and I, that once people start getting engaged in voting, they will tend to vote Democratic, as they often do, and that's why Republicans don't want you to vote. And anybody who doesn't tell you to vote, tells you not to vote or your vote doesn't count, is counting on your vote not being counted. Just saying.
Truth.
So I just want to say that about Texas Paul and remind you. Now, I want to show you this before you go. Before you head out, I want to show you this little piece that. So remember his NFTs?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still bragging about this shit. This is great. Okay. So when he talks about his brand, we have a value from the number one predictive from number one branding person at the time. 2.9 or 3 billion, and that was years ago. So they valued his brand at worth 2.9 to 3 billion dollars. Which honest to God, I'm guarantee if you ask the people at Predictive, they go, yeah, the Trump brand or whatever, they have about 2.9 to 3 billion dollars in assets under that brand. Not if he shot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, I got news for you. The brand's going to take a hit no matter what he says. Politically, he might be able to find that the maggots like him, but I don't think so. The Christians at the pulpit are going to have a hard time saying we're pro-life if you're still supporting the guy who shot a random stranger. Like it's a cute phrase, but it's nowhere near reality. He goes, if you look, I mean, I became president because of the brand. Okay. Yeah, he bullshit his way in. He also became president because of people who didn't vote. I became
Yeah,
president, I think it's
ask Sununu about his brand. I
right.
mean, he's like the most hated person in the frickin' country. I mean,
Yep.
you've got this little sliver cult following, but you know what? Papa's going to run out of money.
Yep.
Eventually, the kids are going to take over and say, "You can't send that jackass any more of your money, Papa. It ain't gonna. You can't do it.
Right.
Those NFTs you bought are worthless. Oh,
What?
but they say they're worth $1,000 a piece now. Oh yeah,
Right.
find somebody to give you that for them. You
Right.
know, I mean,
They're gonna take away his cell phone and his remote control, so he can't be on QVC all night buying Trump merch at 1 o'clock in the morning.
mhm.
He goes, I did an NFT the other day. It was like a year. Everyone is saying a few months ago, everyone was saying the NFTs are dead, and it was dead. They are dead. I mean, he made collectibles that they didn't even have to make physically. That's what he did.
Mhm.
His maggots bought them. They're not going to trade. NFTs are dead. He goes, but people are saying, what are you doing in NFTs? It sold out in less than a day. It was supposed to take 6 months. It sold out in less than a day. Also, they were like, what, 99 cents or something, $99 or whatever. And they shoveled foreign money in because they're NFTs. They don't count as physical stuffs. So like if the Saudis bought a bunch of your hats, that's illegal. But if they buy your NFTs, it's not. That's what that was. It was really, it was just money laundering. But anyways, he goes, you know what I'm talking about? You saw it probably, but it was roundly criticized for doing it because they said NFTs are dead. I said, well, a little bit late. And the thing sold out in less than a day. And by the way, people paid $99, sold 45,000 cards. You might call them. I wouldn't. They're fucking digital. They don't exist. People paid $99. Some of the cards are selling for $22,000, $23,000, $24,000 now. And I think the average is about $1,300 a card. So people made a lot of money. I'm happy those are Trump people. Yeah, I'm sorry. What was your involvement in the NFTs? Well, I did it with a person that does that stuff. I did it and it sold out immediately. And the factory goes, it makes me very, and they go, who was that person? I don't know. It's a big person in that.
NFTs are dead as disco, man.
Yeah,
You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that.
right.
There are a few people that are still grifting in that market. And the NFTs, sure, they came out and they sold like hotcakes to you know,
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God they were laundering money. If they ever do an
Yes.
investigation in this, because the number that you could buy max was just below at the price they was point where they're selling
Yeah.
were just below triggering suspicious
$10,000.
activity report.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just felt like money laundering to me. They hit the NFT markets and tanked. Boom,
Yes.
down to nothing, down to
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And then there were 3 Trump loving nutballs that invest in all of this
Yeah.
fringe stuff that went in and just bought these things like crazy when they were dirt cheap and
Mm-hmm.
then went on the media. And this is why I hate the corporate media, Hal. This is why I think it was Forbes. They went on Forbes and they're like, oh, yeah, these things are trading at over $1,000 a piece now. And it's like, man, come on. This is the
No.
oldest the pump and dump grift in the book.
Right.
I mean, pump
Well, if
and
they
dump
haven't
is the
caught on to
oldest
the,
grift in the
yeah,
book.
if they haven't caught on to Elon Musk's pump and dump, that he was, I mean, you could argue that his entire investment in shitter, when he turns it into its version of Substack or whatever the fuck he's been planning, is effectively just a Dogecoin crypto scheme. Because the idea was, and still is, insofar as I know, I just think he's losing all but the audience on this. He's basically, it's turned into Getter or Parler, or Truth Social, essentially, with a bunch of carpetbaggers like myself occasionally just dropping in to say fuck you and split. But the the idea was that any service you buy or your membership or anything you pay for on Twitter goes into Twitter, is converted to Dogecoin, and then the Dogecoin sits there as an actual asset with funds backing it. And then when if you want to refund or you buy something, Dogecoin converted back into cash. And so it's a scheme to use social media to legitimize a particular crypto, to grow it abnormally by creating this artificial function to it. under the
Yeah.
skin of Twitter. And I mean, it's so
You know, and
yeah.
you know, societies are different. They're just different. We're different people. In China, you know, they have an app that does
Weibo,
everything.
Weibo,
Banking, huh? Yeah,
Weibo.
it
Yep.
does everything.
WeChat.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
they're okay with that because they're used to the amount of involvement that they have in their lives with, you know, they're just culturally used to that.
Mm-hmm.
People here don't like that. It's like
Mm-mm.
high speed rail. I mean, it's a wonderful idea, but we love our freaking cars, man. We
Mm-hmm.
love our cars. We're just different people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you've got
We
to
also have
face the
different
reality of
land.
the people you're dealing with.
Yeah, we also have different land and different, functional ways of life, and we're not as centrally directed as the government there. But the other aspect,
And
when it comes to paying for
let
stuff
me
with
wrap it
our
up.
phones,
Where I was going with that
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
is Elon Musk. Elon Musk thinks that he's going to recreate that here. He thinks he's going to turn Twitter into a bank, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a market for investments, you know, all the way down to paying your phone bill and every
Right.
other damn thing. You're just going to handle through the site formerly known as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to do that here.
Right.
And if anybody was going to do it, Mark Zuckerberg would be the one to pull it off
Well,
because
Apple's already
everybody's used
doing
to
it.
his marketplaces and yeah.
Apple, and between Apple and PayPal, and the interesting thing is that you want to talk about the genius of Elon Musk. He got out of PayPal right about the time it became that functional system, and basically, you can argue that what he's trying to do using Twitter for that is jealousy over the fact that people pay bills and pay each other using things like PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or any of those, and they have, and it's interesting, you talk about cultural difference. Everybody in China is comfortable with one app for all of it. The United States, we are specifically averse to the idea of having one app do all. Like if you could buy coffee from your, like the Starbucks app, you had the Starbucks app on your phone, but it suddenly worked at Dunkin' and it worked at Coffee Bean and it worked at mom and pop coffee place. You go, what the fuck? Does Starbucks own everything? I'm making my own shit. I'm not drinking coffee anymore. That's what Americans would do.
And all the
And
Dunkin' people would be like, no,
no,
Dunkin's my team. Screw
that's
you,
right.
Starbucks people.
That's right. Even as silly as it is, coffee to coffee being what it is, we would definitely have that reaction. And that's not going to change. There's no reason to change it, quite frankly, because if you breed in unanimity, you breed in weakness. It's just like having, if like we all had the same genetics, eventually one pathogen could kill us. That's why biologically we're diverse. It's helpful. It's a good thing. But in terms of technology, Elon Musk doesn't believe in that. He believes in, like, if you could just lock down everybody where, shit, if I need to pay my bills, I have to have a Twitter account. I mean, obviously a lunatic would see dollar signs like some old cartoon robber baron, but nobody's going to fucking go along with that. Where most Americans are just tipping towards, I use Apple Pay on my phone quite a bit because it's part of my phone's, and there's Google Pay. Some people use Google Pay or whatever, but you can line it up with your bank and you have a separate bank. Some people are using the Apple Card and putting money into it, and that's how they're doing it. But most people go, I have a bank account. I have one debit number attached to my phone so that if something happens, I don't lose my other debit card or my other credit card or one thing. I'm not putting them all in there because I'm not a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in case I get hacked or something goes bad, we can cut off the bleeding. We can tourniquet it at the smallest vein possible. That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use it for a bunch of things, but there are some things I just don't use it for. And I think most people are like that. In my chat room, you can let us know if you guys use some sort of digital way of paying for stuff. But the idea that you would do it through through your social media is, and I did it over in China. I had a WeChat. It took a lot. It's hard. Foreigners can't get one. So you have to do this thing where you have to set up a small bank account and put $50 in it. You have to get special dispensation, and it was a shit ton of work. So I ended up just using prepaid cards, and there was a hack that you could get around it, like almost VPNing it. You could put in this prepaid card as if it was a real credit card, and then you would put money into that card at these little stations, and then you could use it on your phone. And you needed it to buy from fucking street vendors, to buy food from a guy with a cart. There is no way, as much as Elon Musk would love it, that we're going that route in the United States. It's not fucking happening until it's an
Oh
eye
yeah, man.
scan.
You know, what was it? Square? I can't remember who was it.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Square,
had
yeah.
you plugged into your cell phone and you swipe your
Straight.
credit card. People were like, you'd pull that thing out and show it to someone. They're like, I'm not putting my credit card in that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Well, that's why they make
No,
better
I'm
looking
sorry,
ones
friend.
that are separate from your phone that do like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to your phone, which is less safe. I mean, they're fine. They scramble everything and it's okay because nobody's sitting there between there trying to catch some flower shops transactions by sitting in a car with a hacking device. But I back like when that thing came out as a touring comic selling merch, you're like, oh, okay, people who don't have cash, how do I handle that? If I do it through the club, they're
Yeah.
going to take 60%. So I got a Square and set it up. But you're right, it was a tooth pull and getting people to trust like sliding their thing. Some people did it immediately because they were used to it. Other people were like, what? And then it wouldn't work. And you're like, can I see your card? And then you'd be typing it into your phone. You could just like see the sweat pouring down their
I
face.
know.
Yeah. So, anyways, thanks so much. I held you over, but I'm going to jump in and do trends and
It's
talk to the
okay.
chat and all that kind of stuff. So, thanks so much for being with us, Texas Paul. I greatly appreciate it. I want everybody to encourage follow Texas Paul on Threads and your live stream. What's your schedule for when you stream?
Wednesdays and Sundays and Wednesdays at 10 Central.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking about maybe adding a Friday show at 10 Central. I intentionally picked that time slot so I don't interfere with you guys. I actually throw to you at the end of my show, you and
Oh,
Tony
thanks.
Michaels.
Yeah.
I mean, because we get a lot of the sparklers and Tony Michaels
Yeah.
fam in there, and that's why a lot of times you'll see me after the show. I'll pop into chat and watch the
Right.
show for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just and
Are you on
not
Twitch
trying to
by
be a
any
pain in the
chance?
ass.
Not at
Oh
all.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I know I am. I'm on Twitch, but I have like 10 followers on Twitch.
Yeah.
I have so neglected that platform.
Well, that's
But
okay because I often do raids, and if you're on before me, you could raid in, and people will see where your channel is and see the linkage where it came from, and they can hop over and follow you as well and help hopefully grow that. Because I think, like I said, especially when it comes to defending democracy, the more the merrier, and we're lucky to have you, brother. So I'm just glad you're there, and I'm glad you're keeping up the good fight. And I insist we're going to figure out how to do it when Nerd Halen comes to Texas in October. We're doing we're San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston. Hopefully we're within some circle of drive time for you. I come down and be our my guest at the show, and I just love to see you in person. So, and
I'd
if you
be
can't
glad
make
to,
it,
man.
I'll come there.
Anytime you need me, brother, you got my contact information.
Yeah.
You just let me know, man. I'm here. I'm glad to be here. Like I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
I try to
Yeah.
explain to people. I blow my own horn when I say this. I know it, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but just a couple years ago, that crap that they're pulling, like Jim Jordan running to the corporate media and saying outlandish nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
James Comer, another one, saying outlandish nonsensical stuff, used to fly.
Yep.
It used to fly because the corporate media was more than happy to say, "Oh, drama. The
Mm-hmm.
Republicans said this. Defend that, Democrats."
Right.
Now they've got us, man. They've got
Absolutely.
us.
Absolutely. I've yet to have anybody. I thought for a while that my "there is no Hunter Biden laptop" would be an overt challenge, and there would be somebody who would eventually find it, but I could still call bullshit on the manipulation that was done with it after the fact. Nope. Still can't even prove that the original hard drive's real. The fucking John Paul McIsaac story is total horseshit. I'm calling it. That's it. Piss off. What started as a way of baiting people, honest to God, just became a rock solid position. And I don't know who in the chat has the laptop right now, but thank you for taking good care of it and making sure it doesn't get wet again. Texas Paul, everybody, give it up for Texas Paul. Thank you so much, brother, for being
Thank
with
you,
us
my
today.
friend. Had a great time.
We'll see you again. I'd love to have you on the weekend show on the Saturday on the radio, so people in the Chicago area and the radio can hear you as well. So we'll Boston Brian's on tomorrow, maybe the Saturday after, if you're open for it. I'd love to have you on there, introduce you to another crowd, and maybe help
Always,
grow the
anytime, my
brand.
friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Always,
Excellent.
anytime, my friend.
Thank
Just
you so
anytime you
much,
want
my
to
friend.
talk, let me know. it's refreshing talking to somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about, that's
Oh,
actually done a little bit of traveling in this world, that
mm-hmm.
understands different cultures, that
Right.
understands that, you know, when
Mm-hmm.
it's so amazing when you get out and you just do a little bit, the bullshit that comes out of the right, how
It just
stupidly
falls
stale
away.
and
Yeah. You have to corral people into ignorance. That's why Trump loves the poorly educated. You have to corral people into ignorance because the minute they see an off ramp to that idiocy, they're like, well, maybe that seems fun. What's going on over there? No, 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 no. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. You'll see that, and that's why I'm against cancel culture when we try it in a lot of ways, because I believe our ideas can withstand the tests. I believe that people can kick the tires on my arguments, and I'm totally good. I don't have to fear you going down the alt-right pipeline, because I think you can, because you got a good tether to your back. You can walk back and go, that was awful. So appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. We'll make it happen. Yeah, a week from Saturday, I would love to have you on, and like I said, introduce you to the Chicago audience. That would be terrific.
I'm
So
there,
take
man. I love
care.
Chicago.
Me too. All right. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. Okay. Texas Paul, everybody. Give it up for Texas Paul in the chat room. And follow him on all of his socials and all that kind of stuff. And let me go to you guys over here. Hi, chat room. There you go. I don't want his brisket to burn. But also I want to cover some of the stuff because the filing, and not just have him sit there while I'm reading out loud to you guys during oh God, fucking hell. So this I'll post a link to the PDF of the Trump deposition in case you haven't got it. Most people can find it if you need it. I'll put it in the links below on the program this morning, and it's I just got to say he's in rare fucking form. The biggest thing that I wanted to find this thing to show you. Yeah, Charette made it pretty okay. They try to drag Ivanka into stuff or see what her. Yeah, here you go. This is the piece. This is I think exemplary. This little look up the Raffensperger testimony today. Oh boy. I got to finish this first because I'm still making notes in the goddamn thing. See Eric Clapton with who? Is going to do a fundraiser for RFK Jr. Of course he is. Which, by the way, there's no better way to guarantee Democrats will tell him to. So let me get this right, RFK Jr. The guy who says that England should be for white Britons only. That's your guy? Cool. Good luck with that. Oh, by the way, I got one. I broke down. I ordered one. I also have a T-shirt. I don't know when I'm quite going to wear it on the air, but I have this simply for who it will annoy. You got one too? Who's got some of the new Dark Brandon merch that's out there? This is not an endorsement and not a contribution in kind. It's a genuine question. Just asking questions. Very good. But they made all these Dark Brandons, and I gotta say they're very like internet meme. I'm shocked that they signed off on something that is, more in line with like all your base are belong to us than they are with some like, Dark Brandon, like this is just fucking screen printed shit like from a punk band. It's actually, I'm surprised how cool it is. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. Darkness. So let me show you this real quick. So let me set the scene, chat room, if I may. And happy Friday to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, share it out. Patreon.com/HALSparks, yada fucking yada. Okay, so there is a the deposition from where Letitia James is talking to Donald Trump. It's fully out, and we will start on let's see, document page 50, and line number 11 at 10:52 and 49 seconds. 48 seconds. I like being specific. That Donald Trump is being asked about the Trump Organization. Now, if you'll recall, one of the selling points of Donald Trump being in office was, I know the best people. I know the best people. The best people, it's the best people. I know the best people. We have stupid people running things. I know the best people. I have access. I have all their phone numbers. I have the best people. They work with me. Everybody works with me. They work with me. They work with me. The best people. I have the best people. Okay. Let's begin. This may seem minor, but I happen to love it. Question. Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump. This is an email chain between Jeffrey McConney to Elizabeth Pettijohn, and it forwards an earlier chain from Patrick Burney to Donna Kidder, Mark Hawthorne, and Michael Levchuk. First, can I ask you, who is Patrick Burney? Answer, a gentleman who works for the Trump Organization, I believe. Do you know him personally? Not very well. Donna Kidder, likewise, I don't know her. You don't know her personally? I know who they are, but I don't really. You don't work with her closely? No. Okay, same question for Mark Hawthorne. Do you know who he is? I think the same answer, I'll ask you one more. Mike Levchuk, similar answer, yeah. So that's 4 people who are pivotal to a major assessment of his economics. This isn't like from a outside firm that he is hired as a contractor to do some shit. These are people who literally his CFO, Alan Weisselberg, worked with every fucking day, like there every day. All right. Okay, if you see the below email states, we see the attached updated spreadsheet. We don't have a spreadsheet attached to this email. Assuming we get the $139,404,324 in the title company today and combine it with the $383,823 of interest on the deposits that is already in the bank account, the amount of distribution should be amounts listed below. And that says DJT, $126,828,600. And then it lists your 3 children, each at $4 million, getting $4 million each. Can I ask, do you know if the $126 million amount for you represents your full profit on that transaction? Answer, I don't know, Mr. Kais. Object to the form. Are you asking, is it what it says on here? I'm asking if this number is representative of the full profit that he obtained on the transaction. Same objection. Answer, I don't know. You don't know. Do you think you may have made even more on the deal? I don't know. Objective one. This is right. Remember how I told you that after they broke for a little while and he's back to giving these short, sharp answers? That falls apart fairly quickly. I've never seen that. He goes, I don't know. I've never seen that before. Now, that's a classic question. Okay. Even if, and by the way, for all the Hunter Biden laptop fuckheads out there, can I just say hi? There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Good luck. But this is why you're never going to get Hunter Biden off of anything that's in any of those that came from that hard drive or is related to anything that came from the hard drive. So what's going to happen is they're going to show him an email and they'll go, how was this received? And they'll go, we found it on the internet. And then we go, we don't cop to its authentication. Moving on. They won't even be able to be asked about it. Can't verify where it came from. Can't verify its authenticity. I can't speak to that. I don't know what that is. That's what you'll say. Now, the difference here is that this is emails directly from his company that they turned over, not somebody found a Trump hard drive laying around someplace. This is stuff that they were legally obligated to give. Okay, so I don't know. I've never seen that before. Okay, we can put that aside. The witness complies. Why don't we talk about those statements of financial condition? There's a discussion off the record. Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. They put in this part. He goes, this other deposition, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any extras for me? There's a discussion off the record, Mr. Trump. We have marked 2 exhibits. Exhibit 2 is a statement from the office of Donald J. Trump, dated February 15th, 2022, entitled Statement by President Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. Okay, in 2022, he's not the president. Former President Donald J. Trump, 45th president of because there's a 46th. I don't know if he knows this, but yeah. Instead of Hunter's laptop, his daughter Biden's diary. Yeah, that's a great way of faking it, I suppose. Anyways, some of the lines are real, some of them aren't. How'd you get access to it? Blah, blah, blah. All right. I'd like to start by focusing your attention on the statement. Which one? The statement from the President of the United States. No. Sorry. Did you draft this statement? Which one? The statement from the President of the United States. No. No, you didn't? I don't believe so. Who drafted it? I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't know. Did you authorize the issuance of the statement? Object to the form. I might have. I just don't remember this particular statement. You don't remember this particular statement. Okay. I don't see anything necessarily wrong with it, but I don't remember the statement. Oh, he's starting to. Don't start volunteering shit again, dummy. Okay. What's your process in general in your office issuing statements by you? People issue statements all the time. I mean, it's especially with fundraising where I never see it. They do fundraising and they do a lot of things. Especially as president, I had very little to do with the statements of anything. Yes, because you have a State Department and a White House communications there. You're not president anymore. This is about your fucking finances in this situation. I had very little to do with statements of anything, which, by the way, except the part about like stick a light bulb up your ass and how I know more about ISIS than the generals. That was obviously me. Fucking hell. With statements being released about me on the business. Okay, I'm just asking you about this statement from February 15th, 2022, which is after you left the White House. Yeah, and you're now post-presidency. What is the process for someone issuing a statement in your name? Object to the form. What was the process with respect to this statement, or what is the process in general? He said he doesn't remember the statement. I'm asking for his process in general. Hence what's the process for someone issuing a statement in your name? Any statement. That's clear. This is by the way, they only have 7 hours. So 2 things. Trump is trying to give some of these blathering kind of campaign language things where he could just, if they call him on the fact that he was lying, he goes, I say that at campaigns. I was just telling them what I say in public about these things because it's true. And I feel like I'm being blah, blah, blah. Like he can blather about his feelings all he fucking wants. That's why he says, I believe and I feel a bunch, is that he can eat up time by just yammering. Yes. And run out the clock. That's why a couple of times Letitia James is saying, you can just give me a short answer to this because she genuinely means it. He's aware that she's aware that he's just filling in this stuff, right? It's filler. That's right, chat. So he said he doesn't remember the statement. I'm asking for the process in general. Okay, I would say generally, I would look at it, see it. I may have looked at this, but I see so many things. I may have looked at it at this. I haven't read this now. I may have looked at this, but we have a lot of questions, a lot of press, a lot of everything, and a lot of people will give statements without contacting me. Okay, part of the defense. Welcome to a part of the defense. This is a big organization of fucking 12 people, and there's so much shit going on. I don't know what they said. I didn't even check it. It's your financials that are going for a legal case. This is not a statement that goes out randomly. This was to the relevant legal parties. This isn't PR, fuckhead. If they put this around, this is what we're going to say your net worth is. This is what they were going to say is part of the money you made on this deal. This is the numbers to the dollar, by the way. You're going to go, whatever. Yeah, fuck it. I gave up a long time ago. Fuck this. Semper Fi, we already got past that point. That's earlier. The nuclear war stuff he says right out of the fucking gate on like page 8. I'd love to have Lev Parnas on the show if we can find him. Let me know if he's busy. He does Midas videos or whatever, but I'll talk to Lev Parnas. I have a lot of questions for that fucking dude. Holy shit. I'd need like 2 days prep, and I'm going to need it's going to be like a deposition. If I get a chance to talk to fucking Lev. Oh, shit. All right. Okay. Let me ask, does this refresh your recollection about the issuance of the statement and whether you approved it? Not much, but it's something it's something I would have approved. I think it's probably something that I saw along the way. I would say it's more likely than not something I saw. It's a long time ago, but you mean last year was a long time ago? I don't seem to have a problem with it. He's still talking to himself about this shit. Like, it's just...
The past wasn't that long ago.
What a dickhead. And then, let's see, where's this? Okay. The exhibit. Mr. Trump, I marked this exhibit for an email bearing the production number, TTO. These are all been verified. So they have a production number. That means you produced them. We got these from you. And this is an email message dated February 15, 2022 from Molly Michael to Eric Trump and Alina Habba, copying Kimberly Benza. Now, Alina Habba is in the fucking room right there. She's there. She's sitting next to him as counsel. This is super fucking weird. Miss Michael writes, speak now. He has given it his final statement. Margot will be working on putting it out very soon. Speak now. He has given it his final statement. Given it his final. He has given it his final. That's fucking weird. He has, yeah. Alina Habba. She's sitting right next to him in this. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Does that indicate that you would have likely approved this statement? Yeah, I think probably somebody wrote it, somebody put it up, but I think I probably would have seen something like that. And who is Molly Michael? It was an executive assistant for me. Did she work at the entity called 45 Office? Is that I don't know. Okay. I don't know what the entity would be. All right. Going back to the statement itself, I don't know where she worked. Okay, and this goes to, does this motherfucker not know his executive assistant from one does he hire, and I totally believe this is a possibility, random, oddly attractive executive assistant women at all these LLCs to just work there and get shit pay or be paid by the hour if they're bothering to do anything with it, or as an executive assistant that covers work on LLC 1 through 75, that kind of stuff. Is there a video of the depot? His face is so readable. Not yet. There will be. They did video it. They get nervous about it in the beginning. He's sweaty about it at the beginning of it. Okay, going back to this, he goes, I don't know. Okay, I don't know what the entity would be. All right. Going back to the statement itself. Yeah. So you can put that email aside. You write that at the bottom of the first paragraph, the Mazars June 30th, 2014, 2414 statement of the financial conditions reported before I ran for president in 2015. So the year 20,414 was before 2015. So obviously, Trump is old as time. He's okay. So we know now that we're dealing with an extratemporal alien, someone where the space-time continuum does not apply. He wrote this. You write that at the bottom of the Mazars June 30th, 2014 financial condition reported before I ran for president. It contains subject to review of the entire statement to the following, and it lists a number of amounts. Do you know why you were quoting from the June 30th, 2014 statement of financial conditions? Objective form. Other than why it says right there, I don't know exactly. I think it was because that was a statement that was before I started running for president. I started running in 2015, so I think that would have been a date that I would see used because of the fact that it was previous year of running. Do you remember why you wanted to issue a statement about the statement of financial condition? I don't know. It could have been because of being sued by you people. Does that make sense? Now, do I think he means you people like some people mean you people? Yeah, kinda, actually, if I'm being completely honest. Fuck off. Because a few pages earlier, he's like, you probably need the cash. I don't need the cash. You people need cash. I don't need cash. Like that, fuck this dude. Just petulant, angry, trapped. Just a fucking, like a nipping squirrel trapped in a corner. I'm just trying to, and I gotta say, Letitia James, let me just take a moment, if I may, from my heart. And from our dear friends at HAL SPARKS MEGAWORLDWIDE, we appreciate your patience and your long suffering, and your just the quality of your character and your ability to roll with this kind of stuff. It can't be easy, and no one suffer fools gladly, but you do it with professionalism, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud that you represent the people. As someone who visits New York on the regular, I'm glad you're there, because fucking hell. This fucking dude. Lord Almighty. You people. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to get what your memory is. Because you apparently have the best memory, except when you don't. You know, he has the best memory until you try to ask for it. It's like trying to remember, like, oh, what was the name of the second Darren on, which was it York or Dick Sargent? Which one came first? I don't remember. And then, you know, when you ask me, I can't remember. It just goes away. But if you stop asking me, I have the best memory. When I don't need any of my memories, they're always there, jockeying for position. So yes, props to Tish James. Fucking hell. I have the best memory. I have the best words. I say things like "you people." Fucking hell. Now, in all fairness, he has the same disregard for like the people of the legal system as well. Like, you little people. So it's a double whammy for him. It's a double hit. Okay, so here you go. It could have been, I was being challenged and I said, we have a great company. And what I did is I believe that if they did, let me just see, AG and the DA. Yeah, the AG and the DA, that's probably why this went out. But you don't have a specific recollection of asking someone to prepare this statement? I don't remember, but it's very possible that I did. Okay, first of all, you have to do it. Or you choose to do it. When you're talking to an AG or a DA, there are only two ways information gets from you to them, especially information about your financial, like, assets and liabilities. You either are being made to give that, or you are volunteering it in an attempted defense or an attempted distraction or an attempt at dissuading them from going after you. That, right? We agree with that, chat, right? Only two reasons to give an attorney general or a district attorney your financials. Because you have to, or you choose to, and that's not a choice you make flippantly. Did you post it on the fucking web? No. Okay. So you specifically gave it to them for a reason. Like the fucking, the suspension of disbelief that is necessary in buying this bullshit is just embarrassing. I thought it was made for the banks. It more than likely was. I'm making a point about his answer, quite frankly. Okay. Or they may have been chased around, or the banks were like, why are the AGs and the DAs sniffing around? And that's why he thinks that they were. Anyway, same thing. You either have to or you choose to. And that even works with banks. It's a great way to, thank you for bringing that up. That works with banks. There are only two reasons you give your financials to the bank. Because you have to or because you want to. Right? And if you want to, you chose to. Right? You went through the activity. It didn't accidentally happen. Nobody accidentally gives their financials to the bank. You don't accidentally apply for a loan. Right? You don't, and beyond that, even get more complicated. You don't accidentally, accidentally file for an adjustment of your interest rate based on the potential future value because the market's going up and you think it's even worth more than it is or something. Like, nobody does that without knowing it. A bribe? Well, that's why you'd send money, but not your financials. Unless it could be blackmail. Somebody at the bank could be blackmailing you, but that's not what this is. Okay. If we turn to the second page, actually, let me turn back to the front page. Yeah, let's start there. The first sentence reads, we have a great company with fantastic assets that are unique, extremely valuable, and in many cases, far more valuable than what they are listed for in our financial statements. Okay, so this is, if you'll recall, this is the one where he says, this is a worthless statement at the end. They use a worthless clause. This is all bullshit. This statement we gave to the bank is bullshit. The bank knows it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. They got to take it with a grain of salt. And anybody who, invests in this know they could lose their shirt. That's just true. So, and these are just my opinion. For the record, let me, okay, what page is this? Let me get it. Page 60, line 7. Page 60, line 7. Okay? Stick with that for me. Help me out, guys. Page 60, line 7. Has anybody remember that? Because I'm going to go back up to here. Way back an hour and change ago. Okay, back to the beginning. And Trump opens with this blather. Look at this. So, the question was, can I ask you though, it sounds like maybe a few things bubble up. You said you were very, very rarely involved. It's about properties. Were there things that sort of came to your attention during your presidency that you can recall? I can call it virtually or firm, not think of anything. I would say that anything that I was most involved in is telling them they just don't do deals. We don't need the deals. We have a lot of property. We have great properties, run them. And we have great properties. We have the Mona Lisa of properties. We have properties that make money that you could sell many, many times for the quality of the property, like Turnberry in Scotland. I could sell that. That's like selling a painting. No, it's fucking not, by the way. You can't store a golf course in a vault and maybe bring it out twice a year. You don't have to water paintings, you dumb motherfucker. All right, this is gonna get aggravated. It's so bad. Oh wait, I have to. Let's see. What do I do? The vertical. Hold on. Vertical transfer should be. Yeah. Let me see if this. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to go duplicate this and then go articles vert, because this is kind of important that I have these vertical as well. So we'll do that. And then in this guy, we will turn off the, yeah, there we go. I just want to be able to show this. I'm making vertical recordings of this so I can start posting stuff for Reels, and talking about this stuff is quite good for that stuff. So pardon me for doing a little housekeeping real quick, and then I will link it to articles. There we go. Okay, excellent. Now, back to where we were. Back to the fun, kids. Here we go. So, if you'll notice, this is on page 29. This is a half hour in after they've gone through the, well, it's 20 minutes in. Yeah, 24 minutes in. They started at 10 o'clock, I think. And they've done, some of this is, the paper is, the beginning of it is like who's there and all the kind of like, it was almost like the index of who's involved and all that shit. And then you get to the actual testimony, the actual deposition. Right out of the fucking gate, this motherfucker is saying stuff. It's like selling a painting a wall that sells $250 million. It doesn't make income. It just sells on a wall, but it sells for numbers. Okay, let me know, go try to hang a golf course on a wall, fuckhead. The only experience I think you have is turning one into a cemetery, insofar as I know. But turning it into a piece of wall art seems fucking weird. I have some of the greatest pieces of property in the world, and they sell as Mar-a-Lago. Some of the things I own in Europe, some of the things I own in New York, even like Trump Towers, 57th and 5th. It's a great location. 40 Wall Street is the best location, great building. I have great assets. I was never so interested in buying what I would look at, X times the rent. I have assets that will, which if I ever sold them, I don't want to sell any of them, but if I ever sold them, if I ever he's got to say that so it doesn't look like he has these moments where he realizes he's telling people he might have to sell them, and people in New York real estate get nervous about your assets if you sound like you're selling a big building, because they think something's fucked up and they should sell and da-da-da. And then also they think you need money and they don't want to be around you. All right. If I ever sold them, unless they want to buy that building, obviously. Okay. If I ever put some out, I would get the number. I would get numbers that were staggering. Yes, losses. Mar-a-Lago would be a case. I think Turnberry would be a case in Scotland. It's part of the Rota. The Rota is, I believe, the 7 courses that played the British Opening, which is called the Opening Championship, which is the biggest of all tournaments, blah, blah, blah. He talks about this, like the British Opens at Turnberry, they had what is considered to be this day, the Duel in the Sun, the greatest tournament ever played. I don't know if you know, but Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson, these are the things that have tremendous value to rich people that fucking hell. These are things that have tremendous value to rich people that, if it makes 2 million or 3 million and therefore it would be worth 30 or 40, I think I could sell it for 4 or 5 or 600 million because it's a painting. The Mona Lisa is there. The Renoirs are property. Many of my properties. Somehow I wasn't interested in properties that didn't have intrinsic value, or they couldn't have if they were properly run, in many cases rebuilt. I rebuilt 40 Wall Street as an example, took it. It was an empty building, bought it for very little, and now it's, I think, pretty well full, even in this market. But at some point, if the city ever comes back, I say with that, with a lot of things, you can say that if the city ever comes back, you can convert the entire Tower 40 Wall Street into condos and make an absolute fortune, far greater than the 500 or 600 million probably that the building is worth now. Probably more than that, but you'd make a fortune on the condos. I could say that with Seven Springs. When I bought Mar-a-Lago, I paid $8 million for it. And today I think we're going to be bringing it in. People will tell you it's worth $1.25 billion, billion and a half, maybe more than that. But I bought it for $8 million in 19. Mar-a-Lago is not worth $1 billion fucking dollars. Not ever. No. Fuck out of here. It's an event space in Florida, dickhead. $1 billion. So I want you to wrap your head around his assessment of his wealth. This motherfucker thinks say Mar-a-Lago's worth $1 billion. Are you out of your fucking mind? Not $1 billion, by the way. $1.25 billion, $1.5 billion, he says. $1.5 billion. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? All right. And I believe that Seven Springs could be that. If New York would ever get its act together, which is a big if, because I just don't know that they will. They spend all their time investigating me instead of stopping violent crime in the streets. But if New York ever got their act together, if the city ever got back, Seven Springs is the Mar-a-Lago of New York. It's the most incredible place. And I think it has a great value. So I think you described the sort of Mona Lisa, Renoir properties, Turnberry, Mar-a-Lago, Trump Tower, 40 Wall Street. Are there any properties that you... Oh, many. I mean, if you give me a list of my properties, I'll go down. I mean, many. Doral, I think it's close to 700 acres. And that's where we talked about with Texas Paul, where he's basically like, he's looking at Doral, this golf course. He's like, I can't fucking sell it. But if I sold it, I could make some money. But only because I could turn it into condos. This motherfucker is Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack, except not a good person. All right, so remember what you said about the Mar-a-Lago properties, and they're the Mona Lisa, the Mona Lisa properties and the Renoir. All right, so back to page 60. Where are we? Page 60, line 7. And if you'll recall, they're going back over this statement that went out that talks about their financials to the bank or whatever, whoever they were sending this out to kind of fix these, he's trying to get a loan, essentially, it looks like. Or convince the AG or the DA that he was actually rich when he isn't. But listen to the opening sentence. He goes, before I start running, blah, 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 let's start here. Here it is. The first sentence reads, we have a great company with fantastic assets that are unique, extremely valuable, and in many cases far more valuable than what they are listed for in our financial statements. The next sentence reads, he goes, I can sell them for a lot of money to some people. There would be people that would do anything to own Doral. There are people that would do anything to own Turnberry or Mar-a-Lago or 57 or 5th Trump Tower or 40 Wall Street, particularly when you look at it. I could sell Turnberry, which is one of the most iconic places in the world, one of the most beautiful I've ever seen, rated among the best golf courses in the world, as others are too that I have. But I believe I could sell the LIV golf for a fortune, Saudi Arabia. I believe I could sell that to a lot of people for numbers that would be astronomical, because it's like very much like owning a great painting. Why does somebody pay $250 million for a painting that sits on a wall? These are iconic, very iconic properties, and I have numerous of them. So it sounds like he's pissed that people are paying this kind of money for art in the rich people that he walks around, but he doesn't know why they don't want to buy his golf courses, take his golf courses off his hands, make him an offer that he can't refuse in a way that they're not fucking... There's no way these properties are valued at this. But that's the only way he can get out. Only way Donald Trump can get out of these like dead-end properties is to sell them at a stupid price. Because then he didn't fail. He didn't watch them go up and sell them at a little, or sell them at a loss, God forbid, or sell them, at a marginal growth rate where other people can compare it to the growth rate of a warehouse district and realize, fuck, if you just put that money in warehouses, you'd be a fucking rich man right now. And he can't have that. He's got to get moron money for these properties. He's got to get some rich psychopath to buy that $90 million property in Florida. Remember the Russian dude bought it and bulldozed it? That's what he needs. He needs a fucking idiot or somebody to launder money through him. Yes. All right, check. So again, he's made the point that he has not read this. I may remember that. I don't remember. I vaguely remember it. He read it before he got in the room. His attorneys said, here's their exhibits for today. This is what we've agreed to them covering. So glance over these and refresh your memory and just, so you can know what you're talking about. And he looked at, because he's repeating what's in the fucking document. So on the one hand, he doesn't even have to look because he says the same shit over and over again anyways. And on the other hand, he's obviously seen it. Jesus. Why did somebody pay? And he's so mad right here. Why does somebody pay $250 million for a painting that sits on the wall? These are great properties. This is like something he said out loud in his office alone after he's looked at the bills. Why can't I sell this fucking thing? Why would somebody buy why'd that guy buy a fucking Picasso and he won't buy this stupid golf course that I'm trying to hawk off on somebody? Can I just to clarify, have you actually gotten offers for these properties from people you're talking about, or just your expectations? I never asked for an offer. But people have said to me, if you ever want to sell Turnberry, let us know. I'd be able to sell Turnberry quickly for a tremendous amount of money, far beyond what you would say it's worth by the money it makes. Far beyond. So, and these people are morons. By the way, are these, for the record, these idiots you're talking about, these stupid rich people who would buy this golf course? Yes, he just went on like this. So remember what he was pitching? I know the best people. We'd make the best deals and the best deals and best deals. So these are the people he's talking about. And these people apparently have said, if you ever want to sell Turnberry, I'll buy it for more than it will ever be worth. So, and I don't care that it doesn't make any money. I just like having it. And those are the people he wanted in charge of your tax dollars. Fucking hell. I would be able to sell Turnberry quickly for a tremendous amount of money, far beyond what you would say it's worth by the money it makes. Far beyond. So your rich friends are fucking idiots? Is that's what you, so and these are the best people, are they? These are hashtag the best people? These are the ones you're going to bring into the White House this time. You learned your lesson last time. You're not going to bring in the Steve Mnuchins of the world. Steve Mnuchin, for all of his faults, would go, I wouldn't tell anybody to buy fucking Turnberry. You're going to lose fucking money like crazy. Yeah, if you're a Saudi or a Russian oligarch, you need to hide some money somewhere, and you don't care if you lose because you'll lose all of it if you don't hide it someplace, or you're a drug cartel, that's what you're talking about. That's the only people who buy those kind of properties, right? You buy land that you can bury, ill-gotten gains on, and then you declare it, some sort of a special zone for in a trust, so that getting a warrant for the property is fucking impossible. And then you just bury, untaxed income there. Whatever. Can you imagine what's under the ground at fucking all these golf courses? God knows what's in Ivana's coffin. She was cremated again. So can you imagine? You think he's the only box of something that he's got buried there? Yeah, Saudi gold, right? Diamonds, whatever else. I could sell it for that property. I can't because the cartels that pay me to hide their diamond stores, right? I'm just saying, this isn't. Am I accusing him of hiding, cartel money on his properties? No, I'm not. I'm just saying, don't pretend we're all fucking stupid. Don't talk to us like, I don't know, they're like paintings. Who wouldn't want to own Turnberry? I don't know, somebody who could buy the same amount of land in Scotland, make a better course. There's plenty of view there. It's quite lovely. And then name it after themselves. I mean, those kind of rich people, motherfucker, just have private golf courses. All right, so he goes. Do you recall the name of the people that told you if you wanted to be, should you be willing to sell Turnberry? Object to the form. Just people have told me. Yeah, people would tell me. Do I recall names? I think I can do better. I think I can get you appraisals or statements from people as to what they paid for different properties. They're probably in the process of doing that, right? We're probably in the process of doing that right now. Why? Because you're selling it, you dumb motherfucker. He's selling Turnberry. He's trying to sell it. He's been trying to hawk this fucking thing for years. This is so fucking fun. It says no more than 75 mil for his worth. Jennifer Farrington at Market Realist says no more than 75 mil. You mean his worth or the worth of Mar-a-Lago? Yeah. When you say appraisals or statements, are you talking about materials that are being prepared for this litigation or as part of your ongoing business? Well, we're going to be, we're talking to people about values now for the upcoming court case, and we're getting, very, very, I don't want to sell them, but we're getting people very interested in buying them just by talking about as witnesses. We have developers that are going to come in and say what they would pay for. Let's not go too far. That's his attorney. Let's not go too far. That's okay. Certain assets. I'm going to, and then Ms. Haba, I'm going to instruct. I'm just telling, I don't care. They're gonna see it soon enough. I don't care. They're gonna see it soon enough. I know he's not asking you to reveal anything that's attorney-client, correct. I'm just asking as part of your business, though. Generally, have you received offers from individuals to purchase any of those assets you talk about? Well, I never object to the form. I've had people say, if you ever sell Mar-a-Lago, please call me. That's not for sale. Who, for example, tell you? Well, I'd rather not say because I don't want to embarrass them, and I may be putting some of those people on the stand. Right. So I mean, I don't know if you're going to object, but I'd rather not say because you're going to be seeing these people. He's talking to his attorney. I don't know if you're going to object. Because we're going to see them. Yeah, I'd rather not. I think the line is pretty gray as to what his answer. He'll be on the stand. Oh, so it's a he. Who's the? So, all right. Oh, you're good. We're satisfied. It's a he that asked you if you're going to sell Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, any more specific? So let's see. We could probably break down, if we want to take a look at like 18 or 20 he's that are around. Okay, let me do this. Are they Americans? Yeah, am I getting hotter or colder? Of course they're not Americans. So, I mean, I don't know if you're going to object, but okay, there we go. So he goes, yeah, I'd rather not. I think the line's pretty great as what is. He'll be on the stand. What is privilege and what's not? Fucking, he just jumps in there. Trump just says he'll be on the stand to what is privilege and what's not. He's not. They're talking about a fucking lawyer, stupid. Oh, yeah, talking fucking Saudis. He's against the Russia war because, Putin's burning through all of his, loan money. So the only name that you have of someone who said, if you ever sell Mar-a-Lago, I would like to buy, is it someone that you have retained for litigation purposes in this case? Am I understanding that correctly? Is it one of your own lawyers who wants to? Objection. A person that will be, answer. A person that will be using. Objection form. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think that there are people that we have consulted with, and so to the extent that he consulted with them, that's protected. Okay. Anyone outside of the people you consulted with in the context of this litigation who have told you if you ever want to sell Mario, would you like to buy? Over the years, over the last 30, 40 years that he's owned it, counselor, I would like him to testify. I'm just trying to be over the years. Yes, but I can't remember who at this point. So you don't remember names. People have tried to buy your house, offered to buy your house. If a standing offer, they have the money, they can afford it. They're that kind of a person. And they've said this, like, I don't remember if I could say that or whatever. How many of you have a friend that has offered to buy your house, or somebody at your business who would offer to buy your house, and someone, hey, man, I like that house you guys live in. You ever want to sell it, let me know. You wouldn't have a fucking imprint of their face? Like, it's one thing when you have multiple properties, but supposedly Mar-a-Lago's his home. Ew, it's his home. Fucking hell, if it's Jeffrey Epstein, I bet you anything Jeffrey Epstein actually asked him at one point. I bet. Wouldn't that be hilarious if it turned out that was what the fight was over? That, like, Epstein was like, through one of his buddies during The Apprentice or some shit when Trump was on the skids, tried to buy like the loan guarantee under it, or fucking Trump had leveraged it and wasn't being honest about having leveraged it, and he tried to buy the marker. Oh, makes so much fucking sense. You chat room, you guys are so fucking smart. Look at this. You think the Epstein tapes are buried at Mar-a-Lago? You think they're in? Man, I never even considered that they might be in Ivanka's. I always thought, See, if he had any Epstein stuff, it's all the Epstein stuff on other people. It's whatever Epstein might have on, on Lindsey Graham or something like that, right? Raid. Hey, what's happening, Tony Michaels people? Thank you for joining us. That's so lovely. I'm in the middle of going through the Trump deposition, and just it's fucking lunacy. But welcome. He's a mess, and it's hilarious. He doesn't know practically anybody who works for him. He doesn't know what his kids do in the company, which is, we're on the same footing because neither do I. Now, this is the part I wanted to get to that I was sharing with you guys, and please join in the discussion. You'll recall at one point when he was talking about he was telling the banks that his properties are worth this and that and the other, and he could sell them for this and and he has this statement at the end of it that says you shouldn't take this as true. So he goes, let me start with the question again. You write in Exhibit 2, anyone with even a minor degree of financial acumen would recognize that these statements of financial condition prepared for the Trump Organization are not audited, which is also prominently highlighted in the disclaimer declaration on page 1 and 2 of the documents themselves. I guess, what do you understand that disclaimer declaration to say? Well, they call it a disclaimer. They call it worthless clause too, because it makes the statement worthless. Who's they? That everybody. People. I've heard the expression for years. Accounting firms call a worthless clause. Call it a worthless clause? Yeah, whatever. Call a worthless clause. Some people call it a disclaimer. Some people call it a worthless clause. So it's your position. Many lawyers have come to me and said, you have the greatest worthless clause I've ever seen. How can they be using this statement against you? I say because of politics. That's why I have a clause in there that says, don't believe the statement. Go out and do your own work. This statement is worthless. It means nothing. Now, so it's your position that this statement is worthless. That no, that's what the clause is. It's a worthless clause. If you look at that statement was put in by the accounting firm without negotiation. They wanted a very powerful statement in there. From the day that statement was put in, which was from my first statement, actually just about, it stayed pretty much the same. I never felt that these statements would be taken very seriously, because you open it up and right at the beginning of the statement, you read a page and a half of stuff saying, go get your own accounting, go get your own this, go get your own that. So why did you get these statements prepared? I would say they were for maybe myself, just to see the list of properties. I think more for myself than anything else. Sometimes an institution would like to see, a bank, by the way. Yeah, so let me get this right. You have people at your company who you don't know. I don't know why this is turning me into Gilbert Gottfried. Let me understand this. So you have people at your company who you don't know doing your accounting, and they bring you paper that says what your properties are worth for no other reason than for you to look at it. And at the top, you want to make sure that you, as you're reading it, know it's complete bullshit. What? You fucking what? What is that? It might be for institutions, but mainly because I just like looking at it. So your own accounting firm needs to remind you that your own numbers are bullshit. So what? You don't bullshit yourself more? I would say, why did you get these statements prepared? I would say mainly from maybe myself. just to see the list of properties. I think more for myself than anything else. Sometimes an institution would like to see. I don't think they were given credence because of the worthless clause. I don't think they were, or the disclaimer, whichever you want to use. I don't think that they were given much credence to the statements, but it's a compilation. It's a fairly good compilation of properties. But when you open it up, the first thing you see, the first thing you read is the clause that goes down to tell you that you shouldn't rely on the statement. I mean, look, you read it, it's a page and a half. We'll get to that. You'll get to it. But I'm just trying to understand, though, if the statement was more for yourself than anything else, why are the values then still below what you think they're really worth? Because you write it, because I didn't. Objective form. Shut the fuck up. Like, okay, during the break earlier, when they went out of the room, it's clear that his attorney said when they both object or object to form, that means stop talking. Stop talking. Because I didn't object to form, just turned the fucking table over. Question. You write in Exhibit 2, in many cases, they're far more valuable than what is listed in our financial statements. Answer. I think that's true. I think that's true. He says it twice. I think they're actually more valuable in many cases. I think they're more valuable, quite a bit more valuable. If you look at the values today of this property that you have down, obviously the numbers are low. In 2014, the numbers are low because the properties are worth much more today, most of them. Much more than they were in 2014. But and by the way, she interrupts him, but he's on. Let's just let me stack this up for a second. Gather in for a second, because we got to deal with this shit somehow. This is not. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So you own a house. The house today, if you sell it, worth $320,000. Let's say if you had to sell it, the market currently as it is. But in your mind, this is $1 million house. It's got good bones. It's worth $1 million. And your house worth $320,000. The neighbor's house worth $360,000. There's one down the block worth $400,000, but that's it. Then over time, the price of real estate just continues to climb. And eventually, the house value, the one that's worth $400,000 down the street is now worth $1.3 million. The one next door is worth, you could probably get like $1 million flat with like a $20,000 and waive the fees. You could get it off the market. And your house is now worth a flat $1 million. Because you sat in it for 20 years. If you sell it, you will be taking profit on that time that has passed. Would that profit be different if way back when it was worth $320,000, it was actually at that time worth $1 million? And time passes, and the house next door is worth $1 million, 50,000 fees waived, and the house down the block is worth 1.2. And they had been worth 360 and 400, and yours was worth $1 million at that time. If the whole neighborhood was starting to climb, and your house was already worth $1 million, what would you be selling it for when everybody else's house reached $1 million? 2, that's right. You'd probably sell that house for somewhere around $2.3 million. And a bank, when you assess the value of a piece of property, will look at that and go, what's it worth right now? Because what it's going to be worth right now is what it's going to be, what we'll sell it for then. If what we could sell it for in 20 years, it's worth that now, then of course we got to buy it. Oh my fucking God. It's worth so much money. It's ridiculous. Why is this house worth $1 million and every house around is worth $350 on average? It's so amazing. If we buy that now, the house will be worth, $1.5 billion in my fucking head. You don't get to go, this house is worth, I could sell this today for what the house will eventually be worth if I never leave. You can't appraise the value of a piece of property for its future alleged worth. By the way, floods and earthquakes and calamities aside, crash in the market aside, this is just Like the fact that he thinks this is a defense. Yeah, it's Trump math. The property is worth what it's going to be worth. And it's worth it now. And I want to borrow money. And this is what I think the key was. This asshole would borrow money against what he thinks the property will be worth beyond the profit gained on money, on an amount that the actual property, this is so fucking confusing, on the amount the property will make over time. He believes that it will, now it's already making that profit. It's not rising to that price. It is already at that price, and you should count the money past that as your profit because you're going to buy this from me and you're going to sit on it for long. This is fucking like, no one does this. Not ever. Stop it. And his attorneys, anybody around him is like, at the very least, a lot of people haven't probably bought his properties because he won't sell them for what they're worth because he's fucking deluded, but also because he's got debt on him that nobody else will want to service. If you buy a piece of property and it's, let's go back to the $320,000 house idea. So you got a $320,000 house. You think it's worth $1 million. So you go to a fucking loan shark and you take out a $500,000 loan on this fucking property. And then you go, I got to sell this house for $1.3 million just to hit zero. Oh, thank you for Candy for the super valuable super chat. $5 USD, and you value it at 5K because eventually it'll be like yen. You know what I mean? It'll be worth that. So a $5,000 super chat. Yes, it's super exciting, but just emotionally. This dude is scared shitless. If he doesn't sell his fucking properties for this imaginary number, he's fucked because he's borrowed more money than the goddamn property's worth. And yeah, the money laundering part of it, that's the early business. He's too greedy to stick around. Like, he wants a slice of that money laundering and he doesn't know how to do it. Good Lord. This is fucking weird. Okay, if you read it now, it's interesting because obviously he goes, and listen to this. Is it your view that these properties were worth more, even more than they are listed for in this document? Is that correct? Objective form. Well, if you read it that way, it's interesting because obviously it turned out to be right. Because the properties are worth more today, generally speaking, than they were in the statement substantially. It's been 7 years, and it's not substantially. He's still not making that argument at all. The entire market has gone up a little, right? Real estate is expensive. High-end real estate is supposedly expensive. Commercial real estate is ass. So tons of his properties are not doing well at all. He's going to have to convert them to living spaces or sell them, period. So anyways, I'm just trying to understand your statement, though. And this is, you can tell that Tish James is just as fucking confused as I am about this. Objection. Yes, I object to you trying to understand what he's saying. It's objectively, it's impossible. So I understand it. Is it the case that in your view, as of 2014, these properties were worth more than they're listed for in the statement of objective form? I'm also going to object, Ms. Abbott. You keep mischaracterizing his testimony. So let's just ask the question directly. He didn't say that he remembered writing the statement. See, this is where she's, credit where credit is due. Alina Haba is got is just trying to reel in this fucking Marlin, and he doesn't want to go because this is ego now. And he thinks if people are going to see this deposition, people are going to see this video, and if people know he's bullshitting about how much his properties are worth, he's fucked. This is the struggle that's going on here right now. On the one hand, they're trying to keep him out of jail. And they're going to try to keep the Trump organization being able to be an actual business entity in the state of New York, okay? And not have to sell off their assets in the process. She's trying to do that because that's her fucking job. His fucking job is to make sure that people don't know how fucking broke he is and how worthless these fucking properties are and how nobody wants them because he's got to offload them or he's done. So he has to bullshit in this and talk about what he believes the worth to be and all this kind of stuff and lie his ass off because he knows people like me are going to read this out loud and people like his the Epsteins of the world who would buy these fucking places are going, I'm not paying that fucking. Did you see his deposition? I had my accountant go over his deposition numbers, and it's fucking place is a dump, man. We just buy the place next door and then just wait for it to go under, and then we'll buy it at fire sale prices double the size of our golf course. That's what they're thinking. And he keeps answering. She goes, just ask a question. He didn't say he remembered writing this statement. She's trying to shut him off. And look at the timing on this. 11/13/26. 11/13/26. This motherfucker is talking over his attorney. I'm going long today, but this is just fun. I hope you guys don't mind. But holy shit. This is fucking, yes, this is the deposition with Trish James. For those just joining us. And that, like, he's talking over his attorney. He's like muscling her out of the way. So she says like I said, she's trying to save his ass. Tish James is asking very smart questions. Alina Habba, for all of her faults and whatever, and she's half spokesmodel, half lawyer as far as Trump's concerned, and so she's got a shit job to begin with. You got a bad client, and you've got you got maggots who think that if he goes down, you did it on purpose. So she, sympathies. She got herself into the fucking mess, but sympathies in that regard, and she's trying at least to be as a real fucking attorney. Props where they're deserved. And she's a spokesperson for Trump, but he only sends her out because she thinks she's pretty and that'll distract people from the details. That's the point I'm making. That's what he thinks about her. It's obvious. So she's trying to do her job, and he's talking over her. Well, she's an idiot for taking the case. Again, it's pre-written into it. But here we go. She's trying to do her job. Honestly. Yeah. I'm going to post the entire the link to the PDF out there, but you can find it if you want to Google it. Just look up for Trump James testimony or a deposition PDF, and it'll pop up. You'll find it. I think the Washington Post has it too, but I will put it at the when we're done today, whenever that could possibly be. I swear to God, I'm at the same hour point almost that they're in this deposition. I'm not doing all 7 hours. I can't do it. But we'll duck back into this. I got to print this out, all 500 fucking pages of it, and make notes. Although I might try to PDF it because it's a lot. I don't need to cut down a fucking tree just for Donald Trump. But anyways, look at this. She goes, Kais objects to the form. I think that's how you say his name. Habba goes, I'm going to object. You keep mischaracterizing his testimony, so let's just ask the question directly. He didn't say he remembered writing this statement. Now, again, that is the Hunter Biden email defense that they will be using, and that anybody with any fucking brains will do, right? Anybody with any brains at all will tell their client, unless you present it to them right away, or we turned it over and we have already authenticated, we've copped to its authentication, just go, I don't remember writing that. I don't know if that's real. And just stick to that. Don't say anything else. Because they have to, the work that they have to do, and that's what leads to subpoenas in the case of Trump, and that's what's fucking him. But if you're innocent, especially, one of the things you want to do is just not volunteer, because you might misread it. Honest to God, you might see an email that looks absolutely like the email you sent, and they turn two words around that changes the context of a sentence. Somebody did. Your business partner or somebody like that gave them a flipped copy of it, which looks normal, but puts you in more legal jeopardy because of the syntax of the idea, right? Make sense? So you just say no. Unless it's been and that's why, by the way, and it's a great example. This is why depositions have each page, the lines are numbered, and it's by the fucking second when stuff was said. Because so many times during depositions, when they used to just write them down and not videotape them specifically, by the way, and they can now timestamp them because of the video, because they want to show them in court. But people would go, I don't remember saying that. I didn't say that at that time. We were at lunch when that happened. And they're like, fuck, now we got to put the time on everything so that people can't make that defense. All these, every aspect of a legal document means somebody found a wiggle, like wiggle room in it, a way to weasel out of it. Understand that? That's what legalese is all about. Battening down the fucking hatches, the hole you didn't see that somebody crawled through. And that's, you know how I mean.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
So in all these, yeah, read the court transcript. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, so that's why there's all this. This is also why, unless they show you an email that has the metadata timestamp when it was sent attached to it, and each line numbered on the outside. Here it is. Here's the email on the outside. Remember, we've written down each line, so we know exactly what line we're talking about in each email. Don't fucking answer. Just don't recognize it, because you couldn't possibly, because that's true. You don't know if a printed email is the actual email. You can't. If they bring it up, even if they bring it up on a screen, you're looking at something on a screen. There are too many variables. So for legal reasons, unless you're just trying to be completely honest and get it out of the way, and there's no harm, no foul in it, and you're a witness or something like that, go for it. But if you're on trial for something like this, anybody will tell you, just say you don't recognize the statement. And that's exactly what she's trying to do here. And he doesn't care, because he has a different agenda. His different agenda is, yes, it's Chevy Chase and Fletch. Sweet.
Moon River.
So, unless they have those details and you're trying to help, keep your fucking mouth shut. She's trying to get him to do that, and he doesn't care, because his agenda is, I'm going to need to sell these properties or I'm fucked. So he jumps right over her. Regardless, it turned out to be true because the properties are worth more. Yes, but they weren't worth that at the time. The entire market goes up. That doesn't make you a good investment. This is so fucking stupid. Like, you have to be so goddamn dough-headed to buy into any of this shit. Can you imagine this motherfucker selling you a house? How much is this house worth? $1 million when you sell it. What are you talking about? Well, it's worth $320 now, but we really think this is a growth property. You buy in here, you're going to be able to sell this bill. I mean, don't quote me on that, but you're going to be able to sell this for $1 million. Hell, I think if you bought it from us right now, you could sell it for $1 million. Matter of fact, I think I have a buyer out there, a guy, I don't want to say who it was, but he would have bought it for $1 million today from me right now. But I like you guys. I want to sell it to you guys for, a little over market. I think we can make a deal. But yeah, it's totally worth $1 million right now. I mean, you could probably just turn around and sell it. I won't give you the guy's name, because legally I can't do anything like that. But I mean, this is used car salesman. Yeah, this car's it's a classic. It's a fucking classic. Put a new coat of paint on this, some new tires. You sell this to a collector for $600,000. Right? That's what he's talking about. This is exactly what this is. He's a flim-flam man. So, if I'm understanding your statement correctly, you're saying that these properties are worth more today, not that this statement is inaccurate as of 2014. No, I think, object to the form. Shut the fuck up. I think we have now the benefit of knowing that the statement when I did it was probably low, because the fact that a number of years later, not that long later, the properties are worth substantially more. In other words, if I have down a property for $1 million and today it's worth $3 million, that meant that this statement was low, not high. You're saying it was high. It was low because it turned out to be that the property's worth more than the statement. Could you have sold it for $1 million then? No. Then it wasn't worth $1 million then. Could you have sold it for $3 million then? No, of course not. I couldn't even sell it for $1 million then. So why would you sell it as if it was already worth the $3 million? Because it was going to be. What if... But not then. No. So if it was worth $3 million then, it would be worth $6 now, you're saying? Yeah. It's worth more than that. Substantially more. If you really think about it or talk about it or see the thing, fucking hell. So if I'm understanding, in some cases, much more. So, and again, he won't fucking stop. She's trying to clarify, and he's just trying to blather. And again, the biggest thing to me is if I wanted to produce a great financial statement for banks, I would have added maybe 10 billion. Oh, fuck, what the shit? If I wanted a great financial statement for the banks, I would have added 10 billion to my net worth. I mean, you take a look for brand value. I didn't put anything for brand value. So the property's worth $3 billion, all of his properties together, all of them, worth $3 billion. And he thinks the name Trump is worth $6 billion if it's worth a fucking penny. Lord almighty. Can you imagine being in business with this fuckhead? Signing papers next to him? We're fucked. Like, all right. Why don't we turn quickly to page 4 of the 2014 statement? And if you look at the top of the page, are you on page 4? It ends with the number 4. They're trying to help him. The number 4, it ends with page 719. Okay. And there it says basis of presentation. Exactly. Point 1, basis of presentation. The top sentence reads, the accompanying statement of financial condition consists of the assets and liabilities of Donald J. Trump. Assets are stated at their estimated current values and liabilities at their estimated current amounts. Current amounts. Current. Not what you're going to sell them for in the future or what you think you could sell them for in the future. They're current amounts. How much you owe, how much you have, is how much is here. Okay. Using various valuation methods. So I'm trying to understand if your point is that the current value of these properties as of June 30th, 2014 was actually higher than is listed, or if your point is that the properties have gone up in value, meaning that they're worth more all along. Answer, it turns out, object to the form. Yeah, you object to the form because the motherfucker doesn't understand what he's about to say. Trump, it turns out that they were higher than we have listed. Time has proven that is the case because some of the properties have gone way up in value. So it turns out that if we had something down for, 10 million and it's now worth 20 or 30 million, or in a couple of cases, there's a vast difference. So it turns out that the value now turns out to be low because not that many years later, it's worth double and triple. Sure. But if someone has a home in the suburbs and everybody wants to move out of the city during COVID, homes go up in value. That doesn't mean it was worth more earlier. No, it goes up. It goes down. Yeah, it goes up. It goes down. Object to the form. But, your lawsuit started at a certain point, if you take a look, and the values are still good. Florida's probably higher today than it was 2 years ago, as an example. Let me ask you this a different way. In other words, I put a number down. It's a current number, right? Current. Well, if a number of years later, not that long, it's not 200 years ago, it's worth much more than that, then we'll show you at trial that it's worth much more, okay? Much more in the numbers of, let's say you take the 2014 statement. I don't know how you go back with the statute of limitations all the way back to 2014, but if you do, you do. Now we're getting somewhere. He starts arguing the statute of limitations at this point because he realizes he's been blathering and he's like, throw this all out. I'm pretty sure that since this came out, that lawyers that might be sympathetic to him have been calling his attorneys and going, uh-oh, you gotta get a motion to suppress or throw certain shit out or say he was sick or something, because he did himself in here, line 14, page 75. Like, they're doing that kind of shit. But if you take the 2014 statement as something's more valuable now, or I guess we'll have to pick a date, which was a little short of now, a little short of now.
The past wasn't that long ago.
No, but if something is much more valuable now, then the number that I have down there is a low number. But that's much more accurate than the appraisal done in 2014 or even a guesstimate done in 2014. Are you saying that these numbers are guesstimates? Well, object to the form. Don't think that's what he said at all. It is. It's the word guesstimate is a compilation of knowledge and all sorts of things put together, because ultimately I can't tell you what the property is going to be worth. Nobody can. Appraisers are right and wrong. Everybody knows that. But in this case, we know that the numbers are low because we have the benefit of looking years later and seeing that these properties are much higher in value. You're assessing them at much higher value. And by the way, he's He's having appraisals and assessments done of his properties now that he's going to enter in by, and I who thinks that he's going to let the state of New York do like objective appraisals of the entire property to argue they're expert and bring somebody in and go, we've done objectives. This is how much money it makes. This is how much land it takes up. Comparatively, here's the other properties in the area. This is what it's worth. Go, what? It's worth $500 million. If it's worth a penny. That's what he's talking about. But in this case, we know that the numbers are low because of the benefit of the properties being much higher in value. I'll have people testifying the fact that these properties, many of them, but the big ones, because we don't need too many to get way above this number, way above the number, that the properties are worth much more today or whatever the date you people pick. You people. There it is again. But they're worth much more money than they were in 2014. Therefore, 2014 number turns out to be low, so we have the benefit of hindsight. No! Your inflated number, all this tells me is that your current numbers are going to be equally inflated, if not worse. Asterisk, see Chinese economic growth, where they've been lying about the percentage of growth for years, and therefore, if they're lying by 3% overall their growth, all the money that expanded out of that growth doesn't fucking exist. And if you've taken out loans or bonds on it, you owe money on money that was never made on stuff that was never worth a fuck in the first place. This is fucking embarrassing. But in this case, we know the numbers are low, blah, blah, blah. Here we go, 20, it turns out to be bad. So let me ask you back to the statement. Is this the process that you're talking about when you say that statements are that the properties are far more valuable than what they're listed in our financial statements? This is what you're talking about? Well, this was not objective form. Yeah, this was done in 22. So now I know they were far more because in 22 they were far more. I'm asking what your basis was for saying that they were far more valuable when this was written in February of 22. 22. Because I was looking at the value today. In other words, I'm looking at the value today. I'm asking though, someone sitting down writing in this February 2022, and you're saying they are far more valuable than what was listed in our financial statements. What is your reason for saying they're far more valuable? Well, if I listed it in 2014, objection to the form, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's when they dive in. Well, if I listed it in 2014, they're like, it's almost like you could see Alina Habba and Kais, whatever, just diving across the table just to smack the mic like a Chappelle sketch, like, oh shit, All right, I'm going to go another 10 minutes, and then I got to get up and get prepped for the afternoon show. Because I look at the value today, and otherwise... okay, here he is. We're far more valuable. Well, if I listed it in 2014... Objection form. If I listed in 2014, he just fucking blows right past him. He's literally talking over Kais at this point. Look, 11/1953, 11/1953. He is just... will not shut the fuck up. Objection form. If it's listed in 2014... whoever, Alan or one of the people, they put a number down in 2014. And again, remember, you have a disclaimer clause that everything we're saying is supposed to go out and get your own appraisal. You're supposed to. We're supposed to pay no credence to what they say, whatever. So they say, why it's very unfair. The banks are shocked by this case. This is my opinion, because they've never had anything like this. Do you know the banks were fully paid? Do you know the banks made a lot of money? Do you know I don't believe I ever got even a default notice, and even during COVID, he declared bankruptcy dozens of times, like half a dozen times. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you know I don't believe I ever got even a default notice, and even during COVID, the banks were all paid? And well, yeah, dude, you fucking had the Saudis buying out entire floors of your buildings. And you're suing on behalf of the banks, I guess. It's crazy. The whole case is crazy. This is crazy. This whole thing is crazy. The banks made a lot of money on this. I think they said I paid $280 million worth of interest. $280 million. Yes, but someone else would have paid $600 million.